culture united. Our culture united. Our culture united. Our culture united. Connecting all over the world. Connecting all over the world. Connecting all over the world. Connecting all over the world.
Word up, mic check, check, check. You're tuned in live. Culture United. Culture United Wednesdays, every Wednesday going forward. It's all happening. I'm your host, Justin Hunt. Thank you guys for being with us. As you guys know, we've been doing Culture United for the past year. I think it's like maybe a little over a year now. And this is a reoccurring panel show with evolving panels of experts. And so today's lineup I'm very excited about. Up first, she's been on 3 weeks in a row now and has become a fan favorite, dropping all kinds of incredible insight. From the Look at the Material podcast, also dropped a great video this week on Pharrell the Proletariat, the one and only BK. 9-second applause.
What's up, y'all? Yeah, back 3 times in a row. Thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited to talk to you guys. Let's get into it.
Word up, word up. Also joining us, one of my personal biggest inspirations ever. You know, I was a big fan of his work at Rolling Stone, big fan of his pen, big fan of his interviews he would do on Fuse or on BET, big fan of his show on MSNBC. So I modeled a lot of my professional career off of the road that he has traveled. Now co-host of Rap Latte. I guess it's the midday show. On the West Coast, it's a morning hip-hop show. Incredible voice. The one and only Torre. 9-second applause.
Thank you, brother. Happy to be here.
Word up, word up. Also co-host of the Rap Latte podcast, also an incredible MC himself, also has a penchant for delivering incisive commentary. Big fan of his as well. King Green, 9-second applause.
Hit you with the Pharrell.
Pharrell the Proletariat. Also joining us today for the first time, author, composer. You might know him from Eminem's Relapse album. You might know him from Dave Matthews Band. You might know him from India Re. You might know him from Yo-Yo Ma, one of the most talented people I've ever met in my life, and also a great inspiration of mine personally. The one and only, Mark Batson. 9-second applause.
Thank you so much, Justin. I'm so happy to be here. This is a golden opportunity to be on your show and to be able to talk about life in the world.
Appreciate it, man. Mark is actually the creator of the It's All Happening theme song, and he's also the creator of the Culture United theme song. And he's also the creator of the Third Verse theme song, Third Verse podcast out now. And he will be tomorrow's guest on the Third Verse podcast, dropping on the Third Verse podcast channel. And so multi-talented as well. We can't wait to hear what you got to say today.
Peace.
And also here again, back again, co-host of the Third Verse podcast, one of the greatest pens to ever come out of Atlanta, did incredible work with Shady Aftermath, also one of the most talented executives who always finds a way to come out on top. My brother, Stat Quo, 9-second applause.
I'm looking around. I think my dog Green, he might be the only one on here that doesn't have hair, but I'm surrounded by you guys that are in my age bracket that have hair. I'm instantly jealous. I just want you to know that because I don't have any hair. That's exactly Mark shitting on.
Oh no, Stat, you froze again. Oh man, this happened 2 weeks ago with Stat, man. Stat was
What he was gonna say is that all y'all got hair privilege and we don't rock with y'all. Walk around this earth with hair privilege.
That is so funny. All right, well, hopefully Stat will be back. He made it through. We did a live on last Tuesday on the Company Man show. He made it through that whole live that time. But the last time he was on Culture United, we had technical difficulties like this. So.
Gotcha.
All right, so let's jump right in. I was shocked. I don't want to say I was shocked, but once again, I had a reaction looking at Young Thug talk about how hip hop is weird. Now we have a clip of this. I'm gonna play a portion of this clip, and then I want to get what you guys see with what your reaction was to Young Thug describing the state of hip hop. All right, so let's take a look. This is it. There we go.
I feel like I always wanted to do this type of music, and then I feel like rap is gonna be weird like space right now, because it's just saying like everybody beefing, and it's just like some of the biggest, two of the biggest artists in the world, like Flash, and a lot of like the fucking ripple effect that came out. Weird. I feel like it's time. I feel like we gotta like take it to the next level. We gotta level up. Like AI, it's just so much. Everything in the world leveling up except hip hop. Like niggas getting like worse. Like we getting worse than when we first started. Like I think we like reach, so we just like comfortability. Even when we feel like we're like hustling hard as we can, we still like it's still capital. We so comfortable. I feel like we need this type of shit. I would be so happy if hip hop turned into pop. Nobody on this earth could come that type of shit. You know, I would be happy. But I also love hip hop because I know a lot of hip hop artists. Can't do that.
Well, you can rap your ass off. We always do that. But hip hop also always.
And so that's essentially the clip. All right, that's Young Thug, and that's what he was saying. Open floor. What do you guys think about Young Thug's comments that hip hop is weird?
I guess I just asked him to prove to show his work on this one. I think like 2025 was a really good year for hip hop. Whether you were like representing the cloth or whether you were listening to like Take Me Through There, like a club banger, like we got really good hip hop all year. And even last year with Chromacopia, with Doechii, with GNX, like there's so much there. And I think there's this misconception that like only the like lyrical rappers are rising to the top right now. But I think oftentimes like the women get left out of this conversation when we talk about that Billboard chart drought and everyone was freaking out. Like the person that broke that drought was Megan Thee Stallion, right? And then we had Cardi drop. Mona Leo had some moments this year. So I don't know. I agree that maybe what he was doing before the YSL trial and all that, like if he's trying that same formula, it's not working or it's not hitting the same. But to say that like it's in a weird spot and people are trying, but it's not popping, that's just not true. Maybe it's not popping for him, but I think hip hop is in a really good spot, like from all levels.
Yeah, I mean, I heard him say that. Now, he sounded like someone who has been sitting down for a while to me. Like his entire year, his perspective this year to me sounds like someone who's been very out of touch, right? Like when people come home, like my uncle came home, I had to teach him how to use a cell phone. That's how Young Thug sounds to me. What do you guys think? Open floor.
Yeah, I think that just generally hip hop came off of what happened in 2024 was the equivalent of the Lakers versus the Celtics at its height, or if Muhammad Ali fought Mike Tyson, and then the following year, those teams were not competing against each other. So you know that's the one thing we get in sports. You know, if the Lakers win, you think you might see the Lakers and Celtics the following year in the championship. So after what we saw last year, the world being enveloped, by the Drake and Kendrick battle, this year has been a year of seeing the other teams play, not the same teams. And in the case of Young Thug, his story, being locked up and fighting his way out, and then coming out to a world where the music sounds different. So he's had to make that adjustment as well. I could appreciate, I think, what he was trying to say about seeing if hip hop could be more pop. I think what he was trying to say is could hip hop have the same production qualities or the same production sensibilities or the same production ethic as pop music? Because I think that would be great. I think rhythmically, what happened again is when Kendrick eclipsed the battle with Drake, he went back to a time-proven formula of drum programming of choruses, of traditional things that hip hop has always been, and it does need to get back to that. If they called it a pop format or whatever that may be, but he's generally has to catch up himself because he's been out of the game for a minute.
Yeah, I mean, you know, to what BK was saying, I need to see more of your work. I need to understand what you're talking about. I don't really understand what you mean by hip hop is weird, especially when we're coming off of 2 years where Kendrick and the Clips have been at the top of the list. That is straight ahead traditional hip hop. If Travis takes over, I could see where an old school street rapper head would be like, where's the game gone? But this is straight ahead beats and rhymes. You know what I mean? Like, this is, if you woke up from 20 years ago, you would completely understand where hip hop was as far as Kendrick. I mean, even Tyler is trying to do something unusual, but like not outside of the boundaries of hip hop. I just don't know what he means, that it's weird. There's a weird rash of people trying to say that hip hop is the cause of the Black community's problems, which is that argument we see over and over. Vince Staples said that. Jimmy Jones was talking to Earn Your Leisure kid who was making that point. I find that point completely bankrupt. You know, there's no problem the Black community has that we can't trace back to white supremacy and white privilege, not to hip hop. But the notion that hip hop is weird or lesser, or like that you could say anything about hip hop, you could attach any one word to hip hop and like it's great, it's terrible. It's neither of those things. It's everything at once. There's so much going on in this. I mean, perhaps you're right, Justin, that he's sitting down too long and he doesn't know what's going on, and he needs to learn how to use Spotify to understand what's really going on right now.
Yeah, I mean, look, so to the broader point, right? If hip hop is weird right now, he put out an album where he put on whiteface, and the first song is him saying hard R 37 times. Like that is weird.
Pretty weird.
I feel like it's weird. A lot of the things he's done over the course of his career pretty much are kind of weird, to be honest. I think maybe it's weird to him because the gimmicks don't seem to be gimmicking the way they used to. King Green, what do you think?
I think that's the fairest point. Number one, I don't think he understands what he was talking about. Let's be real about that. And it feels like you were caught in front of reporters. They ask you about hip hop and you start rambling. That's what it looked like to me. The reality is, though, that what he might see, the jail thing. Actually, I want to get to the jail thing. Pooh Shiesty just came out. I love that Pooh Shiesty First Day Out track. He just came out. He's on point. I can't wait till he drops his record. And he did half a decade, right? So, like a half a decade. So now when we're talking about the middle class of hip hop, when I say middle class, I'm talking about the artists where when trap's raining, you could just put out a trap song with a nice beat, with a good chorus, just like the other guy, and it would work. We're tired of it. That's it. It's just that simple. We're tired of it. It's not, we can't do the same things that you used to do. So Kendrick Drake battle, we saw someone make real music, real art, and the next person to win made real music, real art this year. That's it. So it's got to be hot, and what's hot right now is not doing what everyone else is doing on the same type of beat, unfortunately. So yes, it's weird. It's weird that you can't make the same song 40 times and get a hot single. I'm sorry, it's weird. That's very weird. It's like I can't make the same song every day.
1 second applause. I mean, that's really where music has been over the past 10 years. And I think that Mark's point is actually very, very apropos, right? I mean, music, a song structure has been in place for 100 years, right? It's tried and true formula. Like there's a reason why when you go out into public spaces, you will hear "Go Shawty, It's Your Birthday." You know what I mean? It's like why you will hear certain big songs about hip hop.
You're saying song structure in general?
Yeah.
Because I think that, and Mark can speak to this, that other genres are more willing to play with song structure than hip hop is, right? Generally, hip hop is going to be, verse, chorus, verse, right? Other people, and Travis will play with this, Kanye will start to play with, but when you go into rock and roll, when you go into punk music, when you go into R&B, Beyonce even, like they're more willing to play with the structure of the song. A Billie Eilish song can come in any number of structures. And I feel like we are much more narrow in hip hop in the structures that a song will choose.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not like the music theory side of things, I'm not that strong on it, but like I feel like that's why certain rap, rock, grunge subgenres are doing well, like your Playboy Cardis and like kind of the opium sound. I don't know if doing well is the right way to say it, but that's where like your experimentation is coming from, I think, from like the rap genre. And so that's also another thing that I was thinking about when Thug was talking, was like, well, this kind of is like a really experimental time in hip hop too, in terms of like subgenres, mixing rap, grunge, rock, the opium scene, the mosh pit. Like you can be a rock star right now. Even NBA Youngboy, right? Like you don't have to be lyrical miracle, so to speak, to like pop right now. You could still talk
Yeah.
about street stuff, but the way he sings, the way sometimes he get into a screamo bag, sometimes you want to like mosh pit to his songs, like this is kind of the time to like experiment with that. So that's also why I'm kind of like, and he seems to be like well suited to kind of go into that direction, the Uzi, kind of, direction. So I don't know. I think there's plenty of ways that you can express yourself in rap, especially right now. So yeah.
100% agree with that. I think a lot of people don't really dive into the amount of underground hip hop there is. When you say underground hip hop, our mindset might go to things that sound like boom bap and neo boom bap. That's like the West Side Gun, things like that. But there's also underground hip hop where it's kids are rapping over jerk beats, which is a whole wave in the UK and in New York. Kids are rapping over straight up guitar flips over and over again. It's the weirdest, most experimental time I've ever seen in hip hop. And we just are not all privy to it. It's all not talking about. It's not bubbled up to the top. But if you are actually searching for music, which is usually what young people do because they got the time to do that, and me because I love it, but it's there. So, and the song structure thing too, they're experimenting. So I think it's about looking for it.
I think that Drake single-handedly changed the game for hip hop song structure. I think that there was a standard of what a song was, and he for hip hop would, as far as popular music is concerned. I mean, again, underground hip hop, Wu-Tang was always Wu-Tang. The hook didn't have to be here, the chorus didn't have to be there. But as far as single voice songs, where he's rapping a single voice song and the hook is not necessarily at the top or the middle, as far as globally popular, that was a big change in hip hop. And the people who followed that and led that, it did alter what the popular song structure of hip hop would be. But when you look at pop music, or you look at where it's going right now, the game is leaning back towards what the traditional formula was. And you could see it with Shabuzi. You could see it on Beyonce's Cowboy Carter album, where they're like, look, if we can't get number one singles with this thing right here, let's move over the country. This country is going to hit you with verse, hook, bridge. It's a traditional song structure. And when you look at the Taylor Swifts, you look at the people who are making the huge top 10, because that's where Young Thug wants to be. He wants to be in the top 20 of the Billboard 100.
Mm-hmm.
He's been there before. That's where he wants to be again. And the music whole scene is saying, I need the choruses stacked. I don't want single voice choruses anymore. I want traditional song formats. I want those records that are going to play when I go to Coney Island, or those records that are going to play when I go out to Venice Beach. People are saying or feeling like I want to get back to that again. And now hip hop is in a kind of a little maze right now, trying to figure out if it's going to go lean into what per se mumble rap was, so to speak, or whether it's going to find this way back to making huge choruses like OPP.
Hip hop, Beyonce is better than anybody at starting with the chorus. She does that way more often than anybody else.
The game.
It's very overall, it's unusual to start the song with a chorus, but it's such a brilliant strategy because 45 seconds into the song, I'm hooked in. The chorus is coming for a second time. I know this part of the song. I love this.
Nile Rodgers, it's a famous interview with Nile Rodgers where he says the reason why we write the chorus at the beginning, because the verse is just another reason to get back to the chorus again.
Right.
And the bridge is also another reason to get back to the chorus. And they said, and I remember talking, it was Barry Hankerson years ago, and I came in into some meeting and I'm playing a bunch of songs, and they said, you know what, Mark, the song is more valuable when the hook starts at the beginning.
But can you even think of a hip hop song that starts with the chorus?
I mean, I feel like Cardi B's. I feel like
rules everything around me. Cream, get the money.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay, that song is like 35 years old.
I feel like Cardi B's airtime is all hook. Like the whole song that just came out. It's probably the second most successful song of her album. It's pretty much all hook.
If you listen to even Kali Uchis album or Kali Uchis songs, like Red Moon and Venus, it's like
you see it more often in R&B, like hardly ever in hip hop. And it's just
by Travis Scott.
Part of it, I think, though, is that in R&B, it's okay to be like, I'm here to entertain you. So whatever strategy I got to use. In hip hop, there's so much ego of like, look how good I am as a rapper. So I got to come out and spit a verse and start to show you being a song. And then a lot of times, the chorus is an afterthought. Rappers will be like, I'm not talking on the chorus, or the chorus is underplayed, or they're like, aren't you really here for the verses? Listening to me rap is the thing you really came for.
It is, though, technically. And a lot of times, I would say that a lot of times you're rapping to make people understand the chorus. So when the chorus comes, what you told them in the verse makes the chorus so potent. So technically, Song Cry starts with the beat of the chorus, right? And then he gets into his verse. I can't see it coming down my eyes, so I have to make the song cry. Makes no damn sense if I didn't hear the story. So a lot of times you need to get to the meaning of the chorus. But Songwriter 101, and I know Mark can attest to this, is write the chorus first. You're in the studio, you write the chorus first.
What's the hook? And I will go back to it again. I would say that Drake, because Drake is like one of those personality rappers. Like there's something about him as people are listening to over the song first. They're listening to his personality first. He tapped into
saying all these nice things about Drake. You're giving me a headache.
Again, I'm just saying, whether it be nice or bad, we have to admit that he did change.
He did
popular hip hop for what it is now. I mean, you could just look at his radio success, and at the end of the day, every artist wants success. Every artist wants the same success that he's had. I'm not saying he's the best rapper. I find to myself personally best when he's just rap when he in the rap lane, because I'm not really in the singing R&B lane for him. That it doesn't do it for me. But at the same time, he'll give you a whole song and then he hits you with the chorus at the end, and it could still be a top 10 single, which was something really different for music. I don't think he's a bad performer or a bad person. I just think that he has changed the game a great deal, and I think overall the game may have suffered now because of that. Because that now it's like we've moved away from our formulas. There's certain formulas for Black music that have proven to work globally for a long time, and we've moved away from it.
You noted the sales success of Aubrey several times, and we talk a lot about payola on our show, so we don't really give that much credit for Billboard's success. And at this point, Billboard doesn't really matter. It's really about Spotify, but that is also purchased. Can you at least talk about, if you're going to say such nice things about Drake, you at least talk from a perspective of songs that had a cultural impact on hip hop, not from a sales perspective, but that like made an impact on, the club, the hood, the car.
Undoubtedly God's Plan. God's Plan. And undoubtedly Fancy. Like whenever you in the club or anywhere, when they put on Fancy, as soon as Swizz come on, you Fancy, huh? That's it. You know what I mean? Like he's had moments where
best I ever had. Best I ever had was big.
There's songs that he had those moments with. I can't front on him. He's not, again, my favorite rapper. Because it's not, I'm more leans toward Nas for what that is, but I would
You're
say
telling
that
the truth.
he's had a huge impact on hip hop culture, on hip hop music, on the way songs are put together, and I think it has changed the game. And I think without him, there's a little space that's opened up that people are trying to figure out. Can I make a Drake song without sounding trash? Who's going to fill that space? Because the Clips, again, that's my favorite album that came out this year. Because, you know, from the moment they came out with the first single, I was blown away. But Chains and Whips is my #1 song of the year. I think as far as well written, well performed, and all that. And I think it's impactful, but it still doesn't fill that space. I think hip hop or any kind of music needs top 20 global hits to drive it. That's when you get those songs are going to globally drive the culture. Needs those hits, and I don't think we've had a lot of that. Like, I loved Doechii. To me, Boom Bap was one of the most unbelievable records that I've ever heard in hip hop. But
why do we need big hits? I think we have a hip hop community, and when we get music from a Kendrick to a JID to any number of folks who feed us and what we need in hip, why do we need the
world, any kind of hip hop, let's just clear that it's a business. You know what I mean? It's a great business that, has produced these billionaires. It's a business, and business, the hip hop and the music business is fed by hit songs. You need those songs globally in order for the music to thrive, and then when that music thrives globally, we thrive with the music.
But I mean, at this point, and we talk about this a lot too, Green, that a lot of times the music at this point is a loss leader to go into your touring business, your merch business, and your ancillary business that you have the money to invest in because of the touring money you made, or so now I can do the vodka or the whatever.
As an artist on a major label, yes, but the thing that I want everyone to know, and I'm glad even on this platform, it's a lie that music doesn't make money, or these buildings wouldn't be there. If you own your music, you make money. So yes, if you have a catalog, big billion-dollar song, it's going to work. I just would push back on Mark and say that hip hop isn't just a business; it's a culture. Therefore, like, if we're talking about the business of hip hop, yeah, it needs that, I guess, but not really, because I think things that, like, K-pop's at top, right? They rapping. Other people are making money off of hip hop all day. If we're not making money, there's something else going on wrong too. So it's not that rap isn't making money and people rapping isn't making money. It's these rappers and this sector is kind of not making money.
Well, I think that, I don't want to speak for you, Mark, but I think that kind of adds to Mark's point. Like, if you look at what they're taking from rap and hip hop in K-pop, if you look at what they're taking from rap and hip hop in country, if you look at the things that they're taking what most of the big songs, the structure most of the big songs has had, right? They're not taking, some of the more niche or more regional things that have happened. The things that they're adopting are the staccato flows. They're adopting, the hooks in the similar context. And I think that's what Mark is saying. If we're not doing it in this industry, it doesn't mean it's not going to happen. It's going to happen other places, and they're going to take money from our industry.
I'm saying Morgan Wallen is doing it. I'm saying, like, Shabuzi, it's a cover of Tipsy. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I understand as a brother in the industry, you're thinking about sales. That's how y'all get paid.
Right.
That has not been something that I've been directly connected to. And I generally judge hip hop based on more of a cultural impact situation. What were the songs, the verses that we all talked about? Even if it went gold, we all talked about EPMD and played EPMD. It came out of every car. Like, it wasn't double platinum. You could, the white kids did not know about it, but that shit was incredibly important to us, just to name one. And just, like, to me, like, that sort of stuff, like cultural impact. And I'm not saying Drake has never had that, but, when I disgusted
every time his name comes up. Like, you on your face. It's almost personal.
I would jump in. I would say that on a personal level, Rock Marciano is somebody that that almost no one can touch.
Okay.
As far as a lyricist. But do I wish that he had big records behind him? Do I wish I could see Rock Marciano in the stadium? Do I wish he was filling 30,000 seaters? I do. I wish I could see him on that level. Like my favorite song, hip hop song of this whole year is 055 with West Side Gun and Stove Guard. It's my favorite song. It's my favorite hook. You know what I mean on songs. But I'd like what I'm saying. What they want. I'm saying the artists. When I talk to the artists, I don't see artists who really don't want to be huge and successful. They might not know the pathway to get there, but they all want it. Like everybody wants to get to. Hip hop. It's like this sport. You know what I mean? It's a sport, and the artists are competing for the ultimate prizes. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like what's the movie where?
But it's the ultimate prize.
It's the Dr. Dre's, the Jay-Z's, that's the spot that
the ultimate
ask
prize.
Any rapper.
Getting black people excited about your music and it means a lot to them, or getting suburban white people being like, "Oh, I like your music." Like, what is the goal?
We have, as black people in America, we understand percentage-wise, we're at 14-15% of Americans. So if you're going to be, financially successful, you're going to have to appeal to a broader audience. And the whole goal of rap business is to go global. Like, you want to be global with it. You know what I mean? So that nobody can stand in your way. I mean, you got to look at Kanye right now. Like, at the end of the day, because he's made these huge hit records, he is banished from the game. He's been excommunicated.
Well, that's not why he's been banished from the game.
Well, I'm saying he's been banished.
That's not the problem.
I'm saying he's had his own problems that have had him banished from the game. But in completion of my thought, he's still playing those songs in stadiums, making in the realm of $3 to $5 million per night.
Right.
And I think the goal is to be able to say, I don't have to be in the system. I don't even have to adhere to anybody's rules at all. And I can still go out there and make $5, $6, $7 million at a time. I think that's the goal of 9 out of 10, not only rappers, but 9 out of 10 musicians. 9 out of 10 keyboard players who was like, I just want to get some hit records so I could feed my family.
Like eat off of it.
Yeah, but the hit record, I hear you. I just feel like we're conflating a few things. A hit record looks very different now than it used to, in the way that what is a hit record? Just because something is streaming a lot or it's on Billboard chart doesn't mean it's not a hit record. You know what I'm saying? So you could have a lot of financial success, which I know people who none of us know. So it's like, but they could fill up a whole 5,000 like amphitheater. But we don't even know these artists.
Not 9 out of 10 artists, like most artists. Some artists do fall outside of that, and some people don't really fall in it. But if you look at it, 9 out of 10 artists, there is a signature song that was the vehicle for them that opened up the door to their careers and lives. And some artists only have one. They only have one, and they're still touring and working on that one song. But in order to get through the doors and establish a career, they need a hit song. There's a signature song that goes with almost every artist.
Yeah, I just say it looks different for every.
Yeah, it looks different now. But as you can see with the guy named like Mutt just went number one.
Leon Thomas.
I'm saying like that's it. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's good. You know what I mean? He's got this song. The song, it's an unlikely song to go number one. Here's this R&B song where he starts with the chorus at the top again. The chorus right at the top. You know what I'm saying? He's a Mutt. You know what I mean? And it's an unlikely song to take the spot on the number one Billboard charts. And to get on the Billboard charts at number one, you have to spend in between $750,000 to $1 million to get that number one spot. So it doesn't matter who's at that number one spot. They spent that much money on ads to get there. So he got the song is rolling. They spend the money, but now he's in the position where he has a career. He has a career.
Why would we, in this conversation or any, give that much credence to being number one if you're just saying, hey, pretty much anybody with 750 can get it?
I don't think that's what he's saying. I think what he's saying is the marketplace.
First of all,
that's what it is to compete.
You have to have a hit record first before the money is spent. You can't
Right.
buy that position. The song has to have some impact, and then you get investors to get to pay the money into it. But I'm saying, even if you're buying your ads and you get in the position to take that song number one, what happens is that now you have millions and millions of people listening to your song. Now you have millions and millions of people finding out who you are. And then after you have those people knowing who you are, then you have a career.
It just attack, and I mean the number that we generally see around is like 250,000 to have a chance to put a record at the top of the charts. But the more we talk about payola, which we talk about payola a lot on Rap Latte, the more it calls about the lack of integrity, the lack of meritocracy that attached to the Billboard charts. So ascending the Billboard charts is not really a pure metric or pure understanding of what the people are listening to and what the people care about, which is why I try to traffic more in the notion of what is a cultural hit? What do I see people talking about, coming out of cars, dancing to, like the things that we know that people are caring about, rather than the Billboard chart, which is completely manipulated.
You know, again, I'm with you on that.
Last point on this market, I'm a transition.
Last point on that is manipulated, but at the same time, when an artist achieves those spots, when they get to those number one positions and they start winning those awards, and he's in, you know, this song is going to win him awards. That opens up huge doors for that particular artist all over the world. Even and once they hit that Billboard number one spot, no matter how they got there, and especially for a song like that doesn't feel like it belongs in that spot, he's made a name for himself. He's made a career for himself. And if you go and sit down in the room of artists, in a writing room, writing session, this is what they all are aspiring to get to. It's that number one spot right there.
You know, back to Young Thug, because I do think Young Thug raised an issue. Coming from Young Thug, it was really interesting to hear that hip hop's in a weird place. And I know it's got to be really weird to Young Thug, considering the news cycles he's been a part of all year, which were not flattering. You know, we've had him beefing with everybody that he's around. But this is the first time, I think, perhaps with him saying hip hop is weird, that he and his team they're all looking real shaky. Lil Baby didn't have the impact that people expected Lil Baby to have at the beginning of the year. Gunna didn't have the impact. Now, you can argue that he was trying to get out of his deal. He had the most successful project of anybody that was in that crew. He had Who Getting Fucked Tonight. That song moved, you know, but it was a down year for Gunna, all things considered. Young Thug looked crazy. And now 21 Savage. 21 Savage looks like he grossly underperformed what he normally does, right? And so if I'm thinking about the third verse on Not Like Us, it looks to me like the party has died. And that might be weird for a guy who walks around saying he just makes music for people to escape to party to. He doesn't want to tackle anything that's real. The second segment here today was one of the most craziest clips I've seen ever. And this is from 21 Savage, when 21 Savage was, when he was promoting his, I guess the album's out now, What Happened to the Streets? And I think that question probably is still out there in the ether. But he was talking about his the Kendrick and Drake beef. And what he said to me was one of the most ironic things I've ever heard coming from a rapper. And so we're going to take a look at this clip. It's about a minute long. Here we go.
When you win, I want to tell you that. It's rigged. Yeah. Even if Drake won, he would have been the bad guy for winning. Yeah. Like, they would have still been like, man, fuck that. Because Kendrick, one of them rappers. Like, goddamn, you know how to say, like, different shit, like, right and shit. You get what I'm saying? Like, J. Cole, like that. Like, they could consider them, like, the holy MCs. Yeah, MCs. MC really can't lose. You can't lose if you an MC for real. But Drake an MC for real, but he goddamn make hits, too. So it's different. So it's like goddamn niggas look at them. Meek was an MC. Nah, Meek was a MC, but he really wasn't them type MC, bro. Meek ain't made just going and just making no super like 9-minute song where he just like goddamn saying crazy metaphors the whole time and shit. Meek is like
I feel like that was a nice little Lupe shout out at the end. BK, what's your reaction?
you trying to rage bait me? Is that what's happening tonight? Are you trying
We're
to
back
rage
again.
bait me?
You know what I'm
Here we are.
Yeah.
In
And
what
here we are
world
again.
is he not a rapper, but Drake is? What are we talking about?
Here we are
And
again.
he said Kendrick is a rapper. I'm like, yup. J. Cole, yup. But then how Drake kind of slid to near their level, that's the problem. He's not on their level at all. He make hits for sure. You can't argue with that. But he ain't no rapper. He like on Meek Mill's level. I'm like, that's where you belong. But
That triggered the hell out of
I don't
Tori.
understand.
1 second applause.
And I would rank Savage ahead of Drake as a rapper. So I don't know what he's talking about.
BK, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm very tired of the lose-lose scenario type of a theory or angle that people come at this. If Drake won this battle against what I believe to be one of the best rappers to touch a mic, we would not hear the end of it. Nobody would be talking about a lose-lose or, oh, they wanted Kendrick to lose from the beginning and all this stuff. It's such a tired, it's just cope. It's copium. But I think also it just shows how far we've gotten away from, rappers writing and thinking, like him being like gagged over like, well, he's a rapper and he can like write and he can kind of like, I understand what he's saying. Like he's a very like lyrical, well-read, his vocabulary, his thesaurus is open whenever he's rhyming and stuff. But I just think I also don't like the idea that we're looking at, or he frames it as Drake. He's a backpacker or rapper, but also make hits. It's like, does Kendrick not have hits? Like I don't know. I'm very tired of the revisionist history after the beef. It's very clear that 21 is Drake's bestie and maybe is more of a friend and not really having real conversations with him. But yeah, I was just so confused watching that, like just being gagged over like a rapper performing well and knowing how to write but being like, but Drake makes hits. Kendrick makes hits too. He's a very successful commercial artist. Like he wasn't just a no-name underground rapper before this beef. And I feel like this angle kind of tries to frame it as such. And I don't like that.
Humble sold 20 million records. What do you think, King Green?
Every single one of all of them are MCs that he was talking about. It's just different levels of MC, and that's the real issue. It's just that there's levels to this shit. And when you're talking about Kendrick, but when you talk about Kendrick, you're talking about GOAT level MC. Needs to be. You're looking at the people on Mount Rushmore. It's like, do I have to replace somebody with you know what I'm saying? That's what we're talking about when we're talking about Kendrick. So these other artists and MCs you're talking about, it's like, yeah, it looks different, and he proved it. That's what we all thought because we're like, this, he's a different level MC. And during the battle, to go with BK, it's like people were up like left and right during the battle. When Drake dropped the song, we were like, whoa, I don't know what's happening. Kendrick's got to come back. Then he drops Euphoria. Then we're like, whatever. And then people are so dumb that we had to make so many videos explaining to the idiots how he dissed you. It's like, rewind it. He just dissed you. We had to let them know. So now the level of listener has been upgraded because of the company, man, because of everyone. We all understand that we looking for different things. We have a different palate now. It's like when you start eating freaking sushi and you enjoy it, you're not the person that's like, hey, is this cooked? Can you cook this? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. If Drake couldn't rap, he wouldn't be able to get in the ring. It's like somebody saying, okay, he got in the ring with Mike Tyson, but he can't box. You know what I'm saying? You get in the ring with Mike Tyson. There's some prerequisites in order to get in the ring. If there's a fight and you get in the ring with Mike Tyson and it's round 1, and then it's round 3 and the fight is still going on, you gotta say that man could box. You know
in what way was in what way did this last to round 3? In what way was this not an early Tyson destruction? What Drake record competed with his 3 best records in this?
The general audience.
I'm agree. I'm sorry, BK. I'm saying for you, Torre, you didn't see it that way, but his fans did see it. His fans follow him. Felt he was competitive.
Also,
he's not competitive.
Fans think that he's right. His fans.
Well, hold tight. Let Mark finish his thought, Torre.
Yeah, I say that, Kendrick is possibly in the long run will be proven to possibly be the greatest rapper or best rapper who ever lived. You know what I'm saying? There's levels, as King Green said, there's levels to rap. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then also there's cultural inroads to rap. You know what I'm saying? There's something that Nas does when he speaks that just because it's Nas and he's from New York, it's a certain tone that he's going to have. Kendrick represents the culture itself, and Drake does not do that. So now you got, basically a guy from, judo or MMA trying to step in the boxing ring and fight with Kendrick, and he got his ass whipped, or he got beat up. But so some of his fans, they felt that he was being competitive, as a rapper, and just the fact that one person can think that when you're battling the best rapper possibly who ever lived.
First of all, we know that people think crazy things. I honestly don't care what any one of his fans think when I'm talking to a major Grammy-winning producer. I want to know what you think. Do you think that Drake is on the same level as Kendrick as an MC?
No way. He's
well, there you go.
No. But hold on. But let me finish though. But I will say that he did battle Kendrick, and he did a good job as a rapper, battling the best rapper of all time. He didn't do good enough to win. There's records I've heard of his when he rapped. Like he got beat. I'm sure he got beat up. But there's records I've heard of his, like per se Champagne Poetry. I think Champagne Poetry, as far as no drum rap, so to speak, that in his own way. That record was no drum rap, just as is not on the level of Freddie Gibbs, but he doesn't have the sound.
Do you have the same opinion? If he did not write it himself, do you have the same opinion? If you find out,
I'm a little different on that. A lot of people feel that the rapper has to write the song, but to me, Slick Rick singing "Lottie Dottie" Snoop Dogg singing "Lottie Dottie" is one of the best things that ever happened in the history of hip hop for me. So I feel like I get in the studio. Dre doesn't really write a lot, but he's people have Jay-Z wrote still.
No. Hold on. We're talking about a battle though. You're telling me that if someone wrote his battle rap, you think that he went toe to toe with another person. So someone else is throwing your punches.
I can't say who wrote the battle raps. I wasn't.
We know who wrote them. We know what happened.
No. Let's just go to the concept of that. It's just that you have someone throwing your punches for you in a boxing ring. Someone's fighting for you, and you went toe to toe with that guy.
Yeah, again, I don't know. I'm not privy to who was in the studio writing the rap. I can't say that somebody wrote Drake rap for him because I wasn't there. All I know is that records came out. When he came out with the record where he sampled, where they used the AI to use the 3 different voices, I enjoyed the sound. I enjoyed the record. Like I listened to it. I smiled. I laughed.
Oh, that's my favorite joint. That's my favorite joint Drake released. That's my absolute favorite. I stand by that.
I mean, I understand.
I'm with Mark on that. That's the best joint Drake released.
I don't really have a love or hate relationship like that with Drake. For me, it's not like he's outside of the culture. I never worked with him before. I don't really have that type of relationship. I look at him in an unbiased way as somebody who's not a rapper from rap culture, who's actually an actor who is performing a role of the rapper Drake.
Well, you know what I'm saying? Well, then he can't.
Then he's not
considered.
But it's having an effect. It's having an effect on millions of people globally, and I can't front on that and say, "Well, you know what? He's just trash." You know what I'm saying?
So is McDonald's, and McDonald's is trash.
No, I didn't say Drake is trash.
Hey, that McRib special.
Hold on a second. Drake is. Let me say this statement. Drake. I'm not saying that Drake. You're coming from a songwriter, as an artist, and I can come from the same perspective. As a songwriter, as an artist, as a creator, Drake has changed the game over and over again, and he is the same as Justin Bieber to me. It's the same thing. Justin Bieber is hella talented and knows what he likes, knows how to deliver a song. If Justin Bieber puts out a song and someone puts out the same song, the Justin Bieber one's going to do better because the character of Justin Bieber, the performance, the execution, all of that plays into what makes him a pop star. So is Drake. We're talking about hip hop. I'm not talking about that. We're not talking about songwriting. That's a whole different other skill set and a world. We're talking about hip hop. If you write your rhymes, you battle a nigga, you're battling from your perspective. if you are a person that has ever got rhymes written for you and you come into a battle, we're looking at you weird. The beginning of the battle, we didn't, let me go back to this. The beginning of the battle, we did not think that someone was writing his rhymes. We didn't know about any of these things to this extent.
Do we know that today? Do we know that somebody wrote the rhymes?
After the battle came, after the battle came out, so many songs came out of reference verses and all that. So that's what I'm referencing.
I think what Mark's asking is he's talking about the diss tracks that
specifically
Drake dropped. Did we hear? I didn't hear reference tracks.
No reference.
4 tracks that he's talking about.
But why are we?
I think that's what Mark's asking. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because I like that is a gap. Sincerely, I think that is a gap in the conversation. Yes, I think there's ample history of all the collaborative writing Drake has done across his career.
Yeah, he is.
But particularly in this spot, particularly in this spot right here, when it comes to this battle, I haven't seen exactly what it. Because to me, that sounds like Drake, especially the Heart Part 6. The Heart Part 6, that really sounds like a Drake rap.
And if you just focus on what we see above ground, if you put Kendrick's 3 best records in the battle, where does Drake pierce him? Where does Drake actually make a record that, number one, he wants to continue performing on in the rest of his career? He's not doing any of these records going forward. He's a touring artist. None of this battle shit's going in the fucking kitty. Kendrick's doing all this shit for the next 20 years, every fucking tour. Drake don't want to talk about no more.
Drake is the recipient of the biggest diss in the history of music, the biggest insult in the history of the entire music industry since Bach and Beethoven. This is like the biggest disrespectful record. He has to walk away from that battle. But
when he beat the Grams, because it's twice. Because he dropped 2 nuclear bombs on him. He's worse than Japan right now.
But when he battled Meek Mills, he went out there and he was doing back-to-back for a hot minute because he felt he won. Whenever he loses, he's got to stay away from that, because once he taps into the culture itself, like when you battle Pusha, you battle in the culture itself. You know what I'm saying? Like, he can't beat the culture. You know what I mean? Like the real rap hip hop culture, the history of it. You can't touch, like, you know, people who are really from the hood, or people who really understand that, people who rapped on street corners, people who battled on street corners. He can't tap into that. You know what I mean? So every time he loses, he stays away from those records. But when it was one particular record he dropped, it was like an up-tempo record. They had a video of a van in it. I'm not sure.
Family Matters.
When it came out, people was like, "Oh, it just so happened that Kendrick just was shooting headshots." You know what I'm saying?
That was a great 12 minutes for them.
He was shooting their ankles. Drake was shooting their ankles. You know what I'm saying? He was trying to wound, and Kendrick was trying to literally lift that man's soul out of his body, because that's what you do when you rap.
What was the great line on Family Matters that hurt Kendrick?
I don't know it as much.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows. We all know 10 lines
don't study it.
Head that Kendrick said. Writers are supposed to write. There's no line that Drake wrote, or anybody wrote for Drake, that survives the battle. My daughter the other day just walked the room and said, "Is it the braids?" There's so many Kendrick lines that have become part of pop culture. That's a great writer. He lives in our mind. Drake instead us with no lines from the battle.
I didn't intend for this to turn into another Kendrick versus Drake battle discussion necessarily.
We can leave it. Again, I'm not a huge Drake fan. Like, I don't buy Drake records or just kind of vibe with Drake or whatever. But I do understand his impact on hip hop culture. And if I had to ask the question of whether he's a rapper or not, I would definitely say he is a rapper. He's just not as good as a rapper as some of the legendary rappers. I say that in the battle itself, that people within the culture will say Kendrick just watched them every time, because Kendrick is making unbelievable records. Like Meet the Grams is like, you know, like you literally tearing the soul out of a person's body. At the same time, he got in the ring, threw a couple jabs. He got beat up, but, you know, he went in there and boxed. So yeah, I consider him, he's a rapper. He's just not one of those type of rappers.
I want to say this, because where the question really was, because I do find it interesting how effective that third verse on Not Like Us was, because of all the guys in Atlanta and, and the year that they've had. So like there's a super chat here that I think is part of the direction. Can we discuss it? Atlanta lost, right? And my question around this, though, more than anything else, is you know, I think this is more of a I can't tell. Like, you know, we talked about this briefly at the end of last week's show with BK and L, and someone asked how important this 21 Savage album was, right? And I think it's really important because I think it's a very real indicator on where Atlanta is right now. And outside of YoungBoy, I'm not sure if maybe it's an indicator on where street rap is right now, right? And I have questions to the panel. What do you guys think?
ATL is definitely lost. And I will say something that I did not expect. You know, you bring up the third verse of Not Like Us. I did not expect I understood the relationship between Drake and Atlanta, right? But I did not know that he had such loyal foot soldiers within the ATL bunch. And as much as people want to say, you know, Drake is still like the biggest streaming artist and whatever, nobody can take that away from him. Culturally and socially, he became a pariah. And when that happened, people from ATL swooped in and were like, "No, that's my bro. He put us on. Like, what y'all talking about?" And people were like, "We don't care about none of that shit you talking about. No one's fucking with him right now." You know what I mean? And so I think that hurt them on the front end, whether they stayed silent, neutral, or were like, "Nah, I don't know what y'all are talking about. We embrace Drake." And it's almost like they kind of went down with the proverbial ship with that, which I was confused about. I mean, but then also the lack of innovation, and the only one that comes to mind, and I guess he doesn't really talk about street stuff, I don't know, it's Playboi Carti when we're talking about the Atlanta region. I mean, one that I Am Music broke through. He even had the collab track with Kendrick. You see how he aligned himself with Kendrick, and that paid off too, because he just kind of saw, I think, the tea leaves and was like, well, okay, well, Drake not really having a Drake collab right now, not really doing much for me right now. Okay, like people, as much as people were doing all this, the proof was in the pudding. And so when we talk about the subgenres of hip hop and the experimental side of it, getting into the rock side of it, that tapping into that opium sound, Playboi Carti's fine. He has a like a cult following around him. And I just saw that Lil Baby collabed with Playboi Carti, and that was the first time I kind of got through a full song with Lil Baby on it. So I think, you know, Carti has figured out how to, you know, carve his lane. But I don't think the street rap, I think they just got to make better shit. Like, to be honest, I think a lot of the young girls from Atlanta, YK Nisi, Pluto, and the like, they're making great hits, and they're talking about, you know, what they ain't it's nothing of substance that we're saying it has to be in order to take off. So I'll say that, like, it's fun music. So I think Atlanta and you know, Metro did that, kind of gave them that look. So there's some pockets that are still doing well, but I think as a whole, it was so weird to see these titans like 21, Lil Baby, Future did his thing, you know, with like that. That was great. Actually, he was on the right side of history. But anyone that was on the wrong side of history or was in that third verse is looking kind of bleak for them right now.
It's looking crazy.
Right. I got a question for y'all in this room. Do y'all think 21 Savage can rap?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
On a level of
what?
Where he's at. I think in that.
I mean, I think earlier, I think earlier they said they think he's better than Drake. So yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure better than Drake, but I mean, like, he's a solid mid-level rapper.
I agree.
What's the appealing thing about 21 Savage? When everyone was melodical and kind of sounded the same, he came here very slow and had real bars about something and came in with a different sound. So he was very unique, and that's what he brought to the game. And MCing and being a rapper is so many things put together. It's your flow, it's your voice, it's the lyricism. And when those all combine together in a great way, you get these goats that we're talking about. But 21 Savage has his own unique thing. And when we talk about Playboi Carti, I feel like we talk about Playboi Carti like he's not a bona fide superstar that fills up arenas and has like 40 million people listening to him every month. Like, that is just, he's out of here. That's a different thing. Like, he's already out of here, and he makes it, and he made his own sound, and he has a legion of people under him that sound like him, a whole subgenre that sounds like who he is. And that's where rap is going. I just think that a lot of people, somehow we just like look at, oh, that's just something happening over here in the corner. But that's where it's going. Like, there's so many people under him that are like bringing that sound out. And then there's like people who are doing that sound, but adding lyricism on the super underground. And I think what we will appreciate is when one of those guys pop off. Because right now, those other guys ain't really rapping.
For us, for New York rappers or people who came up on New York rap, 21 Savage is a bit of a hard sell for us, delivery wise as a traditional rapper. It's a bit of a hard sell because we don't look. There's a certain thing that we call rap culturally of how it's delivered. But I want to move on and just tap on one thing, because I keep seeing the question coming up about ghostwriters, about ghostwriting in music in general. And I feel like way more rap records were ghostwritten than many people want to admit, or were collaborations with other rappers in the room. And some of my favorite records ever made were ghostwriting and other rappers said the words. And this is
names.
I want to say Jesus Walks is probably one of the best rappers.
We all know that Kanye's not really been a writer since the early days. We all know that Drake ain't really write that much. But like, are we saying that? I mean, like when we talk about the top 5 or 10 MCs, real MCs, Kendrick, 3K, Doechii, like real fucking beat. Like, you're not saying these people are getting written for, are you?
I'm saying that some of the top rappers that I've ever seen, I've seen in the room with other people, literally bouncing ideas off of other people in the room.
Well, see, that's different. That's different.
Coming up with it's different. To me, if 2 people are in the room, if you write a song, you go in the room with somebody, and 3 people walk in the room. One person comes up with 2 words, the other person come up with 8 words, other person come up with 26 words. That song was written by 3 people. But
you're talking in music industry talk again. Like, let's talk about things culturally. Like, if I'm making a verse and I'm with the locks and we're all here, and then I do my verse that's 4 bars, he does his 4 bars, but he's like, nah, I don't like your last 4 bars. Do this line to go into my line. We wrote the song together.
That's a co-write.
Yeah, right. But that's music industry talk versus the culture where, like, when someone gives me my entire voice, my character of whole reference and verse, that can't happen.
We know Kanye has writers. We know Drake has writers. Dr. Dre is not writing any of that shit.
I mean, Jay-Z also wrote Snoop Dogg verse on.
I know that happened one time. Do I think that Snoop Dogg was not writing for himself for the overwhelming majority of his career? I know that he's writing for himself. So I mean,
Snoop writes with other people. He creates with other people. He creates with other people.
But I mean, like, there is a difference between MCs who write themselves and MCs who have the stuff written for them. We know Diddy was not writing, just as one I just happen to know, he's not writing any of those rhymes. Somebody's going to write that for him.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? Like, that's a different category. Right. And Kanye and Drake are out here like, I just can't compare Drake to anybody who's actually writing for themselves.
Y'all hate Drake, man. I don't understand, man.
What happened, man?
The difference is,
I like MCs. I like New York MCs. I want to be in my ears. The culture.
Speaking of New York MCs,
man, like, what's going on, man?
Speaking of New York MCs, moving on to the next topic. Speaking of New York MCs, one of the greatest of all time finally dropped an album we've been waiting decades for.
Yeah,
light years. Nas and DJ Premier, and I was when I first heard it, I was very, very mid on it, very mid. My initial reaction, I'll be honest. Like it felt lethargic, even though like the product felt lethargic overall, right? That was my initial reaction. And then I sat with it and I listened to it over the past 2 days, and I'm like, oh, okay, I understand it in a different way, right? To me, this is a great capstone to what the Legend Has It series has been all about. It's been about restoring the feeling to a degree. It's been about God's son moving like Moses, ushering legends from his era into a new marketplace, a new opportunity of viability. And if you get down into the bars of this album, you can tell that it is set in the late 80s, early 90s. It's the setting for the project. And in that regard, that is, to me, where the biggest challenge that comes in with this album for most people, which are the beats. People are very disappointed in DJ Premier. That seems like that was more of a choice that maybe didn't land the same way, right? So I listened to this today, I'm listening to Nasty Nas rap against himself. I'm over here listening to him talk about Paul's tapes, putting himself in the moment right before Live from the Barbecue. I'm over here, I'm listening to him, talk about writers, you know what I'm saying, as in the era where graffiti writers were most prolific and most prominent. And I feel like this is a great capstone to Legend Has It series. So you guys, what do you guys think of the album, and what do you think about this series?
It's interesting that you said, sorry, it's interesting that you said that you don't love the beats. I wrote Nas's autobiography, which will never come out, but I spent a lot of time with him. And one day I said to him, you know what people's biggest critique of you is? He said, I know. It's that I pick a lot of whack beats. He understands that. And what he's doing is he's like, if I pick the dopest beats, it would be too easy for me. So I need to challenge myself. I would rather take a mid beat and elevate it than just sit on a dope beat and kill it. He's like, that's too easy for me. So, the what you see, he probably understands what you're saying, but it's like, Premier is probably like, here's my top shit. And he's like, I don't want your top shit. I want to elevate your secondary shit. And like, okay, fine. Like, you know what I mean? Like, okay, that's what he chose. So I wouldn't even put it on Primo. I put it on Nas. He probably chose that stuff. Go ahead, BK.
Yeah, I was gonna say I want to just because it'll be probably a short review, but this is actually the first full Nas project I've listened to. I know. I'm like,
hey, 1 second applause. Welcome.
Wait, that's the end of the sentence. The first full Nas project that you
there's
listened
more.
to?
I don't know.
Wait, you never listened to Illmatic, my sister?
Not all the way through.
Oh no.
Not from
Oh
top
no.
to bottom.
Oh no.
Or,
There's good songs at the end. You never listened to Thief's Theme, my sister? No.
No.
There's good songs in there.
That's why I'm like, I know that's kind of like,
You should listen to Magic 1. That's contemporary. Magic 1's my favorite of that 6. It's a great place to start.
But okay, so I did not have any like lore or context or anything. This is just like my very green Gen Z ears. Like my favorite rapper is Kendrick, and then it's like Wayne. You know what I mean? Like that. I grew up more so listening to like the blog era guys, and so I've had to retroactively go back and like do the knowledge, and it kind of started with clips dropping, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna dive into this sound, and then De La Soul, and then I was like, okay, and then like Lil Bill last week, he was like, you can't just listen to the stuff, like, you have to go back and listen to the source material, and I'm like, okay, so I listened to Light Years, and then I listened to Illmatic, which is like weird, but I literally just listened to like the bookend records, and it was I just felt like I was dropped immediately into New York, and that's kind of like, I don't know, what I hear is that's kind of like early hip hop was communicating what was going on in your regional hood. And so like listening to the train track sounds and listening to them, I'm like, okay, like I didn't grow up with public transportation all around. So like this is a new like soundscape, and like, I don't know. I loved it. I loved the beats. I loved the runtime. I thought Nas sounded really sharp and really luxurious. There was a lot of like lore and a lot of shout outs. There was a whole song dedicated to the ladies. And he even like mentioned like the old school, but also the new school ladies. Like I love that. I love like the ode to writers, and how like at the end he was like, keep bombing, like that's exactly what I need to hear. So I don't know. I love the Legend series, and just all of these legacy acts coming out, and it's like so kids like me can listen. I'm saying I'm a kid. I'm 27. I'm not a kid, but like just so I can hear these sound. Okay, but just so I can kind of hear this world building and this skill kind of for the first time, and then that kind of snaking me into like their discography. So I really liked it. But.
As a Kendrick fan, when you are learning about Nas in this crash way, do you hear how Nas is his father?
Yes, like literally. I literally listened to like Light Years twice, then I listened to Illmatic, and I was just like crying. Like I don't know. I was like, oh my God, like this is so like, I just felt like I so much was downloaded in me, and like I just was able to recontextualize Kendrick and understand, and I had a great time with it, and have just a better appreciation of like Kendrick's forefathers, and like it is still such a young genre, so I mean it's not like you know what I mean, like I'm still sifting through these things, and I'm also in the era where we're not like digging through bins, like algorithms are choosing what's coming up on my playlist and stuff like that. So I have to do kind of put in the effort to go listen back. And I listen to a lot of, like, I guess, new aged what do you want to call it, mumble, grunge, like punk rock, rap. I don't know what you want to call it, but that's kind of like what I tend to listen to. But I will say, like, this year and last year got me into a lot of this boom bap, and then being able to witness this kind of proliferation of like legends in the game. It was an awesome listen for me, and I got a big history lesson. So yeah.
1 second applause.
Yeah,
Love
I like that.
That was amazing. That and I'm so happy that you felt like that, and someone who didn't hear any of that to get their perspective, because I wish I could hear Illmatic for the first time. So that was that was beautiful. And then Pause Tapes almost made me cry. And people I've listened to this whole thing, then I went on like to see what people were talking about it. And I was like, I hate all of you people. How do you hate these beats? Oh, you don't understand these beats. Like Pause Tapes, before it tells you that this is how I first started making beats. Then it sounds like how we first started making a beat, and then he starts spitting all of. How do you look? This is an art piece. That's my problem with people. This is an art piece that you have to understand the layers of it and absorb it truly as what they are telling you what to do. Toure says this all the time. It's like when he's getting something from a great artist, he's not looking for if he's liking it or not. It's like, I'm trying to figure out what they were saying. And do I like what they were trying to say?
6, 7.
But I'm trying to figure out what they were trying to say. And I actually, on first listen, I heard writers and Pause Tapes. Yeah, there's production that I like from Primo with like his chords. That's me, but I like pianos. I want to hear chords, and I love all his like chord type cut. Like Moment of Truth is my favorite production album from DJ Premier, which everyone should listen if you haven't. But this wasn't that. They set out to do something. And Company Man enlightened me too in the idea of like it being like set in the 80s. Like I got that, but like when you said it, it made me really mean like, no, they're there. They're breathing in there, and you have to be there with them versus just like, oh, we're looking back. It's no, we're actually there. So
yeah.
I think that for me that Primo drum programming has a certain sound. It's his Primo sound, it's his Primo drums, the way he programs them with the triplet. It's a certain thing that he does. Sometimes when it stands out the most to the average listener is when he pops in for a song or two on somebody's album, because then you hear Primo sound for a second. Perfect example of that is Devil's Pie on the Voodoo album, where like it's this unbelievable record that comes on in the middle of D'Angelo doing the D'Angelo thing, because you get the Primo beat for a second and then it just pops back into it. I think on this last album, we get like a full album of what Primo does. But this is coming after what Hit Boy does. And what Hit Boy does is like, Hit Boy's a chameleon. You know what I'm saying? Like 1 minute he's making a dance record, 1 minute he's making a pop record, 1 minute he's making Beyonce records, and next thing you know, he's making Travis Scott records. He does all these different things. So when you listen to the album, the records that Hit Boy did, you get like a smorgasbord of sound, and it's always coming at you. And I think for people to hear a complete Primo album, it was different for the average listener to hear his sound all the way through, and then without a lot of musical production going around it, just the Primo beat. And I think over time, as time progresses, people will come back to the album and enjoy it a lot more. I think the expectations coming off the hip hop album were a little different. Was that Primo was going to give you a wide variety of music, a wide variety of sounds, when it was just like, no, Nas just went the Primo drums with this, give me a loop of that, and let me just do my thing. And over time, I think people will catch on to it a bit more.
Yeah. Well, I mean, now looking at the whole Legend Has It series, right? What do you guys think now that we've heard albums from Slick Rick, Big L, Mobb Deep, Ray, Ghost, De La Soul, Nas? How do you guys feel about?
I'm gonna go with Ghost. I'm gonna go with Ghost as to me was the number one on there. I think Slick Rick was interesting. I think that the Landlord song that Slick Rick did was one of the. It went back to that classic story rhyme. It was just so well written. I got a taste of him of what he does on that record. But to me, Ghost was the most complete adventure with skits and music and all of that, and the way that Ghost does it.
I liked Slick's album a lot. Was Mobb Deep part of that too?
Yep.
Yeah.
That was a good album too. And then Big L, I feel like people were sleeping on the Big L one. I feel like that one came. I enjoyed, but I'm a punchline guy. Like Big L, like invented like the punchline almost. So I was hearing that, and it put me back to listening to him trying to figure out how to write punchlines. So that might be my bias, but I really love that. But the Legend has a series. I enjoyed the fact that existed, especially when Clips came back in, especially hearing BK talk about how that made her want to go check it out. That's just, that's the beauty of this whole thing. And I love that there's so much hip hop right now, and in so many facets.
It's a great year for hip hop.
Great year. And I love that it's not on the charts. I want those niggas to rethink what you need to do to be on the charts. Rethink. Rethink about what makes a hit song, because what you were doing before was trash.
I think that the hip hop in general, we talked about it a while, needs its own category. Another category, I think for me, if it was the Grammys, I would separate it as traditional and contemporary. I think country music, because of separating that way, it gives space for the OGs of country music to be rewarded and to be appreciated in that forum. And I think that the music that came out in this series is different than the hip hop that's out right now. And in some ways, it's sometimes two different styles that deserve its own place, its own chart, its own appreciation. That's different than having to compete, with records made by NBA YoungBoy. I just think it's two different kinds of music, and it needs to be celebrated in its own way by itself.
Yeah,
I don't disagree with that at all. Yeah, I can see that making sense industry wise.
I mean, when I listen to all of these albums that came out, I can't remember a series like this that I've been as excited about. Actually, I'm not sure how many of these series there's been. I know that I was excited about the Duck Down series when they came back with Sean Price and Black Moon and all the stuff they were doing in the early 2000s. This reminded me quite a bit of that. But of all the albums, to me, that De La album that is a premier, when that could have came out at any point in De La's career, and it would have been like some of their best work. And it's nostalgic. Obviously we miss Dave on there, but it gives you all the weird things that De La albums always did a great job of doing. And to me, my favorite De La albums, when they're at their best, you can put it on and you feel like you're at the roller skating rink, or you feel like you're at a party, or the DJ is mixing. And that's what Cabin in the Sky brought to me. I think that was the best if I was going to rank them. I think that's the one that was probably the most well done. I think this Nas one is actually really close, because a lot of times, this isn't an album that is made for, the classic or trash listen everybody gives on Friday night. This ain't built for that. Like, this is one you got to sit with and put yourself in that arena. You know what I mean? But the De La one, just with the story around it, rest in peace, Dave. It's one of my most important groups. I just think they executed way past what I expected, considering such a critical member wasn't a part of this process.
This was also my first De La Soul project I listened to, and it was great.
Whoa.
Great. I don't want to rip your heart out.
Have you listened to 3 Feet High and Rising? No. The album? Oh my God.
No, but someone in the comments did say that hip hop is forever, so I can always go back and
you can do
you
it.
Can.
But I thought
anytime you
this
want.
was a great. I loved this album, and I love the song dedicated to mamas, and I sent it to my mom and she loved it. So I just timeless pieces of music like that. I
think that you should definitely try 3 Feet High and Rising, and then their second album, De La Soul is Dead, which I think is their greatest album and maybe the greatest hip hop album ever. But you don't understand, the second album is a response to the first album, and it's a rejection of the image that they created on the first album. So you definitely gotta watch Alien to understand Aliens, type thing. And they are speaking to, one is speaking about the other. But but yeah, no, there's an amazing. You know about A Tribe Called Quest, right?
Yes, my dad did give me his like first Tribe Called Quest CD. So I do have like some physical media of that, but I kind of need like a list. Like I need like a like do the knowledge list of like what
Mm.
to kind of dive into and in what order, and like I would love to, like I'm totally open to that, obviously. So
Nice.
Word
it's
up.
just what it is.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Tor, do you have I know you're running on short on time. We have the next segment was, I guess, sort of last thoughts or final thoughts on how this Diddy documentary, 50s documentary, has evolved. And you have been a very loud voice as part of all the things that has taken place in this documentary that may not necessarily present the way they actually happen. And you guys have talked about this quite a bit too. So
I just part of what we talked about on Rap Latte today, we called Cheo Coker, who was the last person who interviewed Biggie. And I was trying to think back, why did they even go to LA? Like, did they not see that was stupid? And I think in retrospect, it seems that it was stupid. But Cheo reminded me, like, yes, they were aware of a large amount of, like, let's call it ghetto chatter and like noise about like, we're gonna get you, we're gonna get you, we're gonna get you, we're gonna get you. But there was some of that in New York as well. So they were, but he reminded me that with Pac dead, tragically, of course, and Suge in prison for probation violation at that point, they thought the war is kind of over. We can go to LA, promote the next album, and begin building a bridge of like, okay, that is behind us. We're not doing that East-West thing anymore. We're here to be with you. And I didn't remember that on March 8th, we would have thought, okay, that war is behind us. And obviously March 9th, we found that it's definitely not. But I don't think that they thought that Suge would be able to get them from prison. I think they thought with Suge away, they were safe to move in LA. So that's sort of why they went to LA, not the sort of reckless thing of like, Puff trying to put Big in trouble so that this thing would happen. Like, Puff has done so many horrible things. The documentary tries to make you think he's like Hannibal Lecter, and to be like, he's not actually Hannibal Lecter. He's just done a million horrible things, not 1,000,001. Oh, you're glazing. You're defending Puff. Like, we're not defending Puff. We're just talking about the actual critical record. He is not the one who is behind the shooting at Quad. He's not. He's not. And the documentary is I just watched it again this morning. It's so skillful. They have Pac going, he kept calling me to come to the studio. He is Jimmy Henchman, which Pac says on record later on. But the way the documentary cuts it, if you don't watch, it looks like, oh, he must be talking about Puff, because they keep showing Puff's image, and Puff is the only. Jimmy Henchman is never mentioned. Lil Sean is mentioned. Jimmy Henchman is never mentioned. Right? It's ridiculous. So there's just all these other ways they clearly are operating toward an agenda of make Puff look bad. And sometimes it's very messy with facts.
How much of this do you think distracts from the actual victims? Because to me, that is the biggest challenge with the way this documentary is presented. At the end, on the 4th episode, there's a lot of real critical information that 50 actually offers. And I think, to me, that should be the focal point of the story. And all these other things take the conversation somewhere else. Do you guys have a thought on that?
I mean, 50 for me, like 50 is my dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm seeing 50 all the way with this, but I do recognize that, this is a war between 50 and Diddy that's going on right now. It's a war between two generals, and 50 is, if you look at his career, like I know him in the past. He's more of a comedian than anything else. He's like, this guy is really hilarious, and most of the beefs that 50 has been in, those beefs have been like, you look at Ja Rule, it's something he said, like something he said funny, or he dissed somebody, or he was standing next to anybody, but he never really went after people in a violent type way. And I think that Diddy is more of a person to come after him, come in that type of way, to come after his family. And I feel like 50 is like, as far as his representation of this whole documentary, is part of like, I need to shut this dude down. Like, I don't want him to get out. You know what I'm saying? This is a dude that will tamper with your family. Like, this is, look what he's doing to the people that he loves. At the same time, in watching the documentary, being somebody who does film scores and all that, the music alone dictates that what they're trying to say in the show. Because when we have scenes in films, we talk with the directors and they say, we want it to sound menacing right here. We want it to sound this and that. So they're pushing a menacing dialogue. And then overall, I just don't like when networks do that, because we have all these Black heroes and honorable characters that they could put in movies and film. But if you look at the top 10 movies, the top 10 series on Netflix and HBO, there'll be nothing reflecting anything respectful or honorable to Black men at all. And right now we're getting like Diddy all over the world. And he's being presented like a Hitler type representative. He up there with Hitler right now and Pol Pot, you know what I'm saying, all over the world as the most evil type person. And in some ways, it's kind of representing our culture globally. And it's a bit much for them to be. This is his fourth miniseries about Diddy. We're like 4 miniseries in. And, if somebody wanted to do a miniseries, there's been 0 miniseries.
4 episodes, 1 miniseries.
No. There's another one that's on Hulu. There's another one that was on TMZ.
There's 10 different documentaries.
There's a bunch of mini-series that are funded, about this whole thing, and they don't do that, or if there was a mini-series with 4 episodes, they were interviewing 26 Trump sexual assault victims and interviewing all of the Epstein victims and interviewing everybody who ever had a beef with Trump. It would look really terrible if you put the score in the movie to it. But when they made The Apprentice, the networks won't even touch that movie. They won't even put it out. So I'm diddied out. I feel like I had enough. It's been a Christmas gift to people who hate him, or people who it makes their lives feel better to see him fall. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people who they've seen him on top of the world, and the shiny suits and the millions of dollars, and he's dancing on top of the world. To see him fall is a great joy and almost a Christmas gift that the networks gave to people. But I'm diddied out now. I can't. That's enough for me. You know what I'm saying? I heard today Vlad came out with something. He's saying he's about to come out with something that's going to shock the world about Diddy, and I'm like, how much more shock can we get? You know what I'm saying? I'm with you, BK.
How much more shock is there? I want to go back to your question about what about the victims and all that. Like, there's still litigations, there's still things going on, and they're not diddied out. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, he's still going through things, and people are still going through things. Some people still are afraid to speak out about certain things. And if he did 5% of the things that he said he did, he's that problem. So
he's a problem.
So there's no issue. Is Hollywood using this as entertainment because people want to see this happen so much and people want to understand this? Of course, that's what Hollywood does. That's they're pariahs, and that's what's going to happen at that level. But as far as like how the victim, thinking about the victims and what's the importance of it and all, it's kind of, to me, it's kind of just more, it is what it is.
I'm ready for these networks to come up with some more programming that shows the honor and the respect of Black men. You see Netflix, they spent over $400 million making Stranger Things about their heroes. We spent the summer watching Fantastic Four, about these great heroes. We saw Superman, like these great heroes, and this media impressions that they put on people of what's heroic. And we see they really promote that, and we don't really get a lot of Black male heroes. But a shout out to Cheo Coker for his work that he did on Luke Cage, and a shout out to Taylor Sheridan for doing the Bass Reeves story, and a shout out to Ben Watkins for Alex Cross. We get some, but it's just not enough. And right now, for Christmas and December, we are inundated with this negative thing. And I know a lot of people need it, you know, to go on. A lot of the victims need it to go on. But I don't really see that documentary being about the victims per se. I see it more about, it seems more like entertainment, like negative entertainment to say, this black dude ain't. And we all know that, you know, Diddy is been trifling. He's dangerous. Look what he does to the people he loves. So imagine what he was doing to the people that he hated.
Everybody knew that.
But I'm just ready for something else. You know,
Justin, I gotta go.
You know,
Tori,
I
I
will
appreciate
call
you,
you
bro.
later.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mark, BK.
so Ray, thank you, man.
Nice to
This
meet
has
you.
been it's been a great pleasure. We got to do this again. I had a lot of fun, man. Thank you
So
so
they did an
much.
interview in 2004, and now
Hell
they're
yeah.
out here
Indeed.
sparring on Culture United.
20th anniversary.
Word up. BK, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree with some of what Mark is saying. I think another sensational documentary about Diddy is not going to bring justice to the victims, but I do think that for someone who has such cultural cachet and someone who we've seen has a tendency to try to launder his image, to try to cover up the horrific things he did, I mean, fine. I'm sure there's a new crop of people who didn't know. I mean, I definitely saw, I didn't watch the documentary because I'm Diddy'd out in terms of like, I know he's horrific. He's horrific.
Right.
And like that's and I hope that like I still just don't think that it centers the victims or centers justice. And I think like this is 50 getting a lick monetarily, but it's also getting his lick back in terms of this war that he's at with Diddy. But yeah, I think that a lot of people are making money in different ways on this story, and it doesn't. I don't know. Whatever the victims want, I'm with that. I just think that like the sensationalization of it is I'm almost like, I think it kind of causes people to get desensitized to it. But what I will say is that like among all the docs that have dropped, this is the first one that I saw people, or one of the top ones that I saw people like live reacting to it on Twitter and being like, oh my God, I didn't know this and I didn't know that. But then after like the first couple days of shock, it's kind of like, oh, okay, well, I'm back to what other like outrage cycle I'm a part of. So I don't know. I didn't see the need for something like this, but I do hope that like through the courts and whatever, through restitution, the victims can get what they need, chiefly protection. But
Can I add a brief thing to that? Just a brief thought to that, please, BK? Is that I keep hearing this dialogue when people say, why are we talking about this so much? I hear a dialogue where they say, well, as black people, as a culture, like we can walk and we can chew gum at the same time. But in the case of this Diddy thing, I'm seeing like a lot of chewing gum and not a lot of walking, when at the same time 350,000 black women just lost their jobs because it's in the administration. And in 2 weeks, we're facing 1 million black people losing their health insurance. We're facing the loss of Title I funds for the schools. Like we're facing some dire emergencies right now. So I feel like we have to start walking some as much as enjoying the entertainment of this, and it's become the main dialogue. Diddy has become the main black culture dialogue for me over the last since the miniseries came out, and it's like there's some really serious things going on that need to be addressed in the black community right now.
Yeah,
going into 2026.
I also think, I do think that the larger point of like, if we could have a larger conversation about holding rich, powerful men to account, let's continue to have that conversation, whether they're black or not. Which is why the Epstein thing is so salient, no matter what side of the aisle you're on. You're like, people are like, well, what if Bill Clinton's in it? I'm like, I don't care, whoever it is, if it's about, holding rich, powerful, culturally significant, like, oh, he made my favorite song, come on, you can't critique him. If it's about that, then I'm down with that. And like what does accountability look like? And when you have you're outraged at Diddy, but your uncle does the same shit to your little cousins, like maybe not the same thing on the same scale because you're not as rich as Diddy, but like if it's about calling out these behaviors, I think that is beneficial to like people within our community, especially the more marginalized in our community, our black gay community, our black trans community, our black women that are often just, we'll have all this outrage about Diddy, but then say like Megan never got shot and that she stepped on glass. So I don't know.
That's the part.
That's the part right there.
No, but I think you're killing the one thing that happens, because we know this is like a #1 Netflix thing. People are talking about it. We're talking about it. And an understanding of doing whatever you can to just be rich and powerful is not a good thing. That's what you need to get from the situation. And that's a narrative that's in there, even though like this is a story. It's not about even really so much facts and even like the victims, as you say. When you look at it, it's really just a story of saying like this man had a problem and he would do anything to get these things, and he needed power and an insatiable desire to get there. And that's bad. That's what this story said. If you watch the whole documentary, and I'm like, that's not an issue. And I don't take it as now we're looking at all Black people and this is what we're showing to. Sinners dropped. Sinners did very well. Sinners is a Black director, Black leads, telling a whole Black story about Black America. Why are we just keep talking about Sinners? People still breaking down Sinners now on YouTube. So we can't look at this thing having an impact and be like, oh, look at how like Black people and Black men. We're not a monolith. We need to understand that this person needs to be called a monster, and Ryan Coogler needs to be heralded as a artist, a genius. Same thing as Kendrick is still touring, killing it, taking hip hop to new heights. So we are not in a place where this makes us look bad. I'm sorry, that's just not a way that I can look at things.
Yeah, again, that's like when you travel and you go like around the world and you realize what people are digesting. When you travel and you go overseas and you just go and you see what people are digesting, this thing with Diddy has been a long, filthy mill. That you know, Sinners had, again, you're right. Sinners, when it came out, we had it in the movie theater. It's still a dialogue right now, but it's not at the tipping spear of the zeitgeist. You know what I'm saying? Like this thing has been it's been a filthy conversation that we've been having about the dirtiest of deeds for a long period of time. And at this particular point, we're reaching, it's like, how can it keep recycling itself? It's like Sinners did have impact. But can you imagine if Sinners came out in February and then it came and went, and then in September it came out and went #1 again, and then in December it came out and went #1 again for another 3 weeks all across the world? That's what this thing is. You know, when
it kind of feels like, oh, sorry,
yeah.
Keep,
go ahead, please.
I mean, that's what Not Like Us did for a while. You know what I mean?
Did
that went came back.
2 years.
But
right.
I will say this, right? You know, I think two things can be true at the same time, right? I definitely think that Hollywood and mass entertainment has a very narrow view of the Black experience that we've probably too accustomed to at this point in time. And I think independent creators and all these different verticals, we have the opportunity now to, I think we're in the process of redefining what that looks like, what Black community looks like in general. My biggest challenge with where we are in the Diddy documentary discussion at this point in time is I personally feel as though the victims aren't centered anymore.
No.
And I think that is I feel like that is something that is just detrimental to what we all agree when it comes to holding powerful men in power accountable. You know, I'm not sure that this is having the impact. The stuff that 50 broke in that episode 4 is groundbreaking. It is groundbreaking things. You know what I mean? I mean, Mark, you've made this point before that some of the things that 50 revealed about Diddy in that 4th episode could raise additional charges against him.
Charges, yeah.
Yeah, it could put him back in jail for longer. And to me, that is a great story to be talking about when it comes to this documentary. You know, whether or not that is motivated because he's got a beef, whether or not he had to make it look like Diddy killed Biggie and Tupac on the way, the fact that the stuff that he put out there in that 4th episode is so critical. New allegations, current allegations, things that are within, you know, the time frame where they can be charged. That to me is the main story here. And I've gone through waves of this, you know what I mean? But to me, all the other things at this point in time, because there is some merit to the way that he made this documentary, causing all these other elements into question, distracting people from it. That needs to be where we all land. And I think that fact right there is perhaps the best possible outcome for 50 doing this. If 50 if that episode 4 can turn into new charges and we can hold a serial a criminal accountable in a way that he actually gets more charges. I mean, that is a conversation.
It's so rare. It's so rare on a whole that black culture, black people get to participate in justice. Usually we have to turn to these authorities to participate in justice. Even in the case of Diddy, he was prosecuted by a team of 5 white women who gave their best efforts to get as much justice as they could for the victims. Where we're like, the oldest survivor of Oklahoma City bombing just passed away this year, and there's been no justice. It's very difficult for us on the whole to get justice, demand justice, or be in a position for that. And I think the 50 Cent in the episode 4 has opened up a dialogue of there possibly could be justice for some things that have been overlooked, and that has a lot of merit to it. It's just it's been a long road to Diddy in 2025, and I'm hoping we could put it. I know it's got a lot of cases left and a lot of lawsuits left, but I can't take another 2026 of just Diddy all the time.
Word up. Well, that's the main discussions we had for today. There's a couple of super chats here that I think the audience would love all of your opinions on. If you guys have a moment to stick around and take a look. Sure. All right, cool. So let's take a look at. All right, we'll start with this one here on the topic. The docuseries makes it harder for Diddy to rehab his reputation after he gets out. It's not like he's serving that much time anyway. This is from Alexa. What do you guys think about that?
I think that's probably the best thing this doc does. Because I know people were kind of demoralized after the verdict, and it was like, oh wow, we've been hearing about all these horrible things for all these decades, and that's how much time he gets. So yeah, if this docuseries, disrupts the court of public opinion, since he isn't serving that much time, I do think that's a net positive. But so I'll give you that.
I don't think Diddy is concerned about his reputation at this point. I think he's more concerned about his freedom. Because if he gets out, he's still sitting on X amount of dollars, and he can escape. He could go move into the apartment next door to Russell Simmons and just be out. You know what I'm saying? So
tomatoes.
So I don't think his reputation. He just wants to get out. I think that 50 wants him to stay in, and rightfully so. Because Diddy has proven that he's extremely dangerous to his enemies, and 50 is clearly number 1 on his enemy list right now. And but we'll see what happens. But I don't think Diddy is concerned about his reputation. I think he's concerned about his freedom at this point and getting back to the freak offs.
Green, you got something for this?
But the people being concerned with his reputation is important, though, in the sense of that. You can't allow him to move the same that he was going to move before when everyone around the world thinks of him a certain way. So that I think you care about. And just given the history of who he was, seems like he cares a lot about what people think. And I don't think that goes away. And those type of people, from what I've seen, and I know you've seen, Mark, in the music, some people, that doesn't go away. Like, they need to be that guy at all times.
Yeah.
So, 1 second applause. Thank you, Alexa. We have Ultimate Singer. I think that's what it says. I like that. Ultimate Singer. 1 second applause here. Justin and panelists, of all Nas's albums, why is Distant Relatives talked so little of, given the impact of the cross-Caribbean hip-hop influences?
It's not that good.
Is that his project with Damian Marley?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's just not that good. And I think, isn't it short too? Like 7 records? It's just, actually, no, it's not. I think it has more than 7.
It's a full album, but it's
just not that good. But I love them together. I saw them on the tour.
Yeah.
They make sense. But yeah, that connection, Caribbean, Black American, I get it. But
I think songs that have Jamaican patois choruses have their limitations coming out the gate as far as people understanding, what the song is about. And then in order to get that promotion and marketing money for your singles, you have to get the confidence from the record company. You know, again, we've talked about what are the numbers, you know, number one Billboard is what those numbers are, but even number one hip hop R&B, that's a certain amount of investment dollars that go into that. And traditionally, when people have had songs that had Jamaican on it, whatever those choruses are, they had to be very, you know, Informer and songs like that. I think Jamrock was Damien's biggest song, wasn't it? I don't know whether that stands on as far as to the masses of people know that song. BK, do you know the song "We Come From Jamrock"? It was a huge record for us. Welcome to Jamrock. That was a joint for us. You know what I'm saying? But again, it's a Jamaican patois song, and I don't think it's listed in the pantheon of hit records that people know or those classics, even though it was. And I think on the record, him being like the hook guy, so to speak, on the record when Nas spit in the verses, there was some limitations of how that record was promoted. And I just don't think it was promoted well. Yeah.
I mean, from my point of view, you know, I think I'd be interested to see like a heat map of where that album really is beloved. Right. Like, yes. In my mind, maybe it's really celebrated in the Caribbean. Maybe it's really celebrated down Flatbush. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't think that. And generally speaking, I think reggae and like reggaeton, for example, like certain types of collaborations go good for like a smooth 5 songs in the club and then people move on to another sound. And I think that when artists spend a full album in, you know, certain regional modes, it can be very regionally appreciated. And so I think perhaps that's part of this too. As for me personally, no knock against it, but this is probably the Nas album I listen to the least, you know what I mean? Wow. And so, and that's not necessarily to say that, you know, but that's me. I don't necessarily listen to like reggae music on the reg. Like I listen to reggae in the club, get on something for 2 songs or something, then I would go to the bar and wait for another jam that I like, or go have a conversation. So I think perhaps that's part of it. But thanks for the question, Ultimate Singer. All right, Doomer 253. Atlanta needs to tap back into Dungeon Family Atlanta bass roots plus Jid and Cardi.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. Yes. They understand song structure. They understand musicality. They understand some of those universal rules that Black music has ruled the planet for X amount of years. They're just great musicians and a great team of people. And I would love to see them collaborate and bring what they do into the world of JID and Cardi.
Doesn't Future hail from the Dungeon family? Or am I making that up? Okay.
No, he is.
And honestly, out of like, I was gonna say he's still, I mean, he was really dominant even last year. Like, it's crazy to see his longevity, and that's like where his roots are. So
I mean, my thing with one of my theories with Future is that Dungeon Family was so big on originality, right? If you rap like someone else in the song, you weren't gonna be on that song. That's why Andre, Big Boy, CeeLo, Cujo, you know, the whole squad, everybody raps so different. And so here comes Future. He's the last one. And you are from the Dungeon, and you can't rap like nobody. You can't rap like Andre, Big Boy, CeeLo, Cujo, fucking Witch Doctor. You can't walk. Is there any other style left than just to start mumbling? Is that really how we get it?
That's how
it's
you
because
got it?
The Dungeon Family is so many original MCs that the only thing Future could do left was mumble.
I think, you know, Future made good songs though. Even like Turn on the Lights before he when he was just singing on songs before he was, you know, into the, you know, trap, auto-tune heavy, you know.
I did a breakdown on that, and I asked Rico Wade in the breakdown. And in the breakdown, he's like, you know what? I think you're right. Rest in peace, Rico Wade. 1 second, please.
Rico
Wade. All right, who we got next? Alexa, why is he? Thank you. I'm glad I don't have that. That's not what I use in the crib. That thing would be going off all stream with Alexa out here. Appreciate you, Alexa. Why is he using an outsider and his outsider fan base as a standard for how Black American music should perform and show up mostly in a mostly anti-Black world? I think that's a question for you, Mark, about Drake.
Yeah. I mean, let's just be clear that Drake has a lot of black fans. And in order for fans or black or artists or musicians to cross over, normally you have to prove yourself to the black community first. Like that's a rule. Every once in a while, somebody breaks the rule. So you got like the Macy Gray who broke the rule. You get Lenny Kravitz who breaks the rule. But most of the time, the rules for the record companies and promotion teams is that if you're selling black music, you have to, you're black or some assemblage of, you have to prove yourself. You have to prove yourself to the black community first. And in that regard, Drake is not really an outsider in that regard, because a lot of black people listen to and vibe with Drake in the first place.
But she's referencing the conversation about hip hop, and you're saying that he was outside of the streets in hip hop, saying that we can't use his non-hip hop metrics when we're having a hip hop conversation.
Yeah, again, she says, why is he using an outsider and an outside fan base as the standard for how Black American music should perform? And I'm saying is that it's not an outsider fan base. He's an outsider who proved himself to black people first in order for him to step forward. But he is definitely an outsider. He's not from the culture itself, but he did prove himself. He's not like us, you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, when it was all revealed,
for him are not a bunch of black people fighting for him, saying that he can hold his own in a battle.
They're not fighting for him. They're not fighting for him in this battle, because Kendrick is the culture itself. But in other battles, and I'll just finish this really quickly, Justin. In other battles and in other songs or whatever, he did prove himself at R&B radio, or in the clubs. When you go listen to R&B music, when you go in black culture environments, you're going to hear his music. It is what it is.
I think I don't want people to really forget how this battle went. I think that there was a very vocal section of hip hop fans, fans of lyricists, fans of Kendrick, who looked at this and was like, "Come on now, this ain't even a thing. How bad is this? How ugly is this going to get?" There was a lot of us that were over there, but there was a lot of people who have been anti, lyrical rap, anti-rappers with messages, anti that thing, and that are all racist. Not even just Drake fans. Not even like a lot of people who were just, maybe they're just really tapped into the drill scene, or New York drill, Chicago. Maybe people were just really into, what's coming out of Atlanta, Houston. A lot of those people weren't so sure how this would go. And so going into the battle, especially when push-ups came out.
Right.
Yes.
When push-ups came out, people thought Kendrick might be in trouble. And that was a diverse population full of that also included hip hop fans, that also included, lyrical fans from all regions. Okay. It was so crazy that even when Euphoria dropped, people were like, man, he said too many words. He rapped too long. He rapped 6 minutes. I don't know. I mean, drop it, give me 50 is what I got in my head. People had to catch up to what Kendrick was saying.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until Meet the Grams. And Meet the Grams that night, the whole conversation that night and early the next morning was, why Kendrick lying on Drake? Kendrick's lying on Drake. Drake don't even got a kid. Drake don't even got to go. Now Drake definitely won because he's lying on, we lying, right? It was really all the way up until Not Like Us when it became unified. And then since then it's been, why are you picking on Drake?
Yes.
Why,
it was
now
a
we're over
lose-lose.
here coddling Drake. Oh, he's going to lose regardless. It went all the way up until Not Like Us for everyone to get off the bandwagon and be like, whatever it is, right? And now the only people in the culture left that's really rocking like that are everybody named in the third verse of Not Like Us. But this was an evolutionary thing. And I don't think it was as black and white amongst people of the culture, amongst black community definitely, about what this battle was going to turn into at the beginning of it. It took people had to go back and be like, dang, now I listen to it. Euphoria is crazy. Dang, you know what? It's 616 is like not even a diss song, but it's a diss song. It's so crazy. It wasn't like that in real time, especially when 616 dropped. People were like, I'm not sure what he's doing.
I'm so glad you just like, set the record straight on that, because I've just been seeing a lot of like revisionism when it comes to like what actually happened. I thought at some point I was going crazy when people were like, no, I don't know, like Drake's giving him a run for his money, or I don't really understand, or it was too many words, or I can't shake my ass to this in the club. That was literally what people were saying at a certain point. So I'm just glad you corrected the record, because people are acting like it was black or white, but it was up until the double punch of Meet the Graham surprise drop and Not Like Us the next morning. So
right, that's what it was. But great question, Alexa. 1 second, applause. We got Zone Fanfic. Question for Mark. As a Drake fan, how do you distinguish whether or not Aubrey is actively using his ghostwriters or botting, since we know he was found liable of those things? This is King Green's whole point.
Again, but the first is I'm not in the studio with him, so I don't really know. I've heard that this one did this and this one did that, but I just go back to songwriting in general because I come from songwriting. You know what I'm saying? Like, some people feel like as a rapper, your rap is so personal that it has to come from your pen and you have to write it and all that. But I think when Jesus Walks first came out, I didn't know Ron Fest wrote that record for a long time. You know what I'm saying? The record's banging. I'm just like, damn, Kanye just made the illest religious hip hop song of all time. I'm just rocking with it because I'm thinking that Kanye just made it. And I think even to this day, a lot of people in the culture know that Kanye didn't write Jesus Walks, but there's a lot of people who don't, who just like, that's just a Kanye song. There's a lot of people who know that Jay-Z wrote both verses on Still for Dr. Dre and Snoop, but for the masses amount of people, I would say they don't. You know what I mean? So for me, ghostwriting to me, songwriting, it's a little relative to me. Like I don't say that a rapper has to write his song in order for the song to be dope, or a song to be classic, or a song to be good, because I've been in the studio and seen all types of ways that songs were created. So if somebody wrote a song for Drake and he said it and he rocked it, you know, God bless him for making something that touched people and moved the world. I mean, Whitney Houston didn't write I Will Always Love You, and a lot of people don't know Dolly Parton's version of the song. At the same time, she sang it so well, she took ownership of the song. And now anytime you go around the world, you ask 9 out of the 10 people who wrote I Will Always Love You, they're going to say Whitney Houston wrote it. You know what I mean? So covering a song or covering somebody's lyric, to me, that doesn't take away from them as an artist. You know, I come from a culture of, you know, different type of music, like whole albums, you know, where in jazz especially, where the whole album of jazz standards are artists who are legendary, who are recording whole albums of other people's songs. One of my favorite performances of all time is Donny Hathaway singing For All We Know, you know. But then there's a Nat King Cole version of For All We Know that's just as powerful as Donny Hathaway's in its own way. But neither one of them wrote the song, you know what I'm saying? So I don't think that for me in rap or any kind of music, that if you have people songwriting, ghostwriting, or whatever you want to call, that doesn't take anything away from the artist for me. So that's just how I feel about it.
1 second, applause. I also think with that question, not in that question, but I think that conversation, at least how it took place today, right? I think that conversation today was apples and oranges, right? I personally think that Green and Torre and most of the audience was probably just speaking about battles, you know, like, like if you are going up head to head against somebody and that person you're going up against has a reputation for collaborative writing,
disqualified.
Right. It's like, how do you know what's true and what's not, right? And so where we are in the timeline, in the metaverse of this battle, we all know how much help Drake been getting for a long time, to where everything is now officially on the table. And so that's
everything is in question, but we still don't really know if he wrote the battle raps or not.
No, that's the problem.
That is the problem.
That's actually the problem.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like if I had to guess, right, the first push-ups came out twice. All right. So one of them, why you got two versions of your song? That's weird.
Right.
It's leaked and there's two versions. And now the second one, and one of them gets on DSPs. That's already weird. You know what I'm saying? The second one is using AI, so that makes me feel like the first one might have had some AI in it because he was selling AI, right? Mm-hmm. The third one feels like that was his whole team sitting around together, coming up with what they got when they were reaching out to everybody here in LA trying to get dirt on Kendrick, right? Because that was a real thing. If Stat was here, he would tell you. You know, like his phone was blowing up with people trying to get any kind of information. So that seems like the collaborative one to me. And then Heart Part 6 sounds like he wrote that.
Yes, I agree.
Like I look at it and I see very different things, but I think that's where this conversation went. 1 second applause. All right.
And don't people typically, just quickly, don't people like, I think like the point is that the rules are kind of different for hip hop. Like we talk about like pop, R&B and like other genres, but like I think there is this kind of like expectation for hip hop specifically that like if you're saying that, hey, I did these things, like you actually wrote that. But maybe.
Right. Yeah.
If BK wrote all of Rock Marciano's album, you ain't gonna look at Rock Marciano the same.
If who wrote it? If
BK right there told you, actually, I wrote all of Rock Marciano's album.
Again, like I said, y'all saying somebody wrote all of Drake albums and all the we don't really know. You know what I'm saying?
I'm saying if she wrote one song, the point is
Green
like,
is so offended, Mark. You offended the hell out of Green right now.
I would say this, Green. I would say this to you though. I would say this. I would say to you that I wish in the height of Rock Marciano's career that he did have people in the studio coming in with him writing songs or helping him write songs so that he could have signature songs that could advance his career and make him more well-known. Because I wish everybody knew who Rock Marciano is. He's one of my favorite rappers of all time, but he doesn't have those songs. And I think he if anybody could use a collaborator in the studio or somebody to help them shape and form songs, because that's what 50 Cent is. You know, 50 Cent is like one of the best songwriters to me ever. Like Many Men is like one of the illest songs that anybody ever wrote. But again, this is what Dre specializes in. That's why he doesn't do well with rappers who are not great songwriters. Eminem, 50 Cent, they're like great songwriters. But even when Game came, Game was like a great rapper and is still a great rapper, but he still needed 50 Cent to come in and write songs like This Is How We Do and Hate It or Love It. 50 Cent came in. I don't think that takes anything away from Game. That 50 Cent wrote the hook to hate it or love it. You know what I'm saying? He needed help from a dope songwriter or incredible songwriter in order for his career to advance. And those songs, those 3 or 4 songs on Game's first album, the documentary, advanced his entire career. So it helped to sustain it to the point that he's now. He's an unbelievable rapper, but he needed that. And I wish Rock Marciano had that.
1 second applause. All right. Gray 648. Appreciate your platform and the different perspectives you bring on, even the ones that don't want to hold Diddy accountable for his
We
actions.
all want Diddy held accountable. We're just tired of hearing about it.
Just make sure you got to get
very
that
clear.
Yeah.
We all want Diddy held accountable. Clearly, he's done a lot of violent things. Clearly, he's done over the top things. He's a violent person. We saw how violent he was on television. You know what I'm saying? We all want him to be held accountable for everything that he's done. It's just exhausting for myself on a personal level.
I think we got you're on the record now. You're on the record.
Somebody say
no, I wouldn't try to clarify anymore. I would just leave that's your final word. B Sorcerer says, I'm pretty sure he's in prison doing freak offs.
Yeah.
Well, again, all the freak offs that we saw with we would think after all of the freak offs and after all the information that came out that there would be some information about him having, doing things with guys, but at the end of the day, it wasn't. So we can't be sure that he's doing freak offs in jail right now.
Well, you're almost there, Mark. You were doing so good. All right.
Well, that's good.
Drifting Flux. The writing credits show other writers on Spotify. This is about Drake and his songs. I think the writing credits on Spotify also include who wrote the music. So we can't be 100% certain.
No, but they also list composer, lyricist, and it has another person's name.
I'm not sure what he's referring here to this comment. So
he was talking about the diss tracks, push-ups.
No, but I'm saying like I don't look at Spotify. So I remember this being a topic of discussion when the battle was going. And it looked like he was the only one credited as a writer, as I remember it. But I can't even see being in a battle. Like, to me, if all the things I said about how those songs might have came about, that would be complete under the table payments. Because I don't think any rapper is going to step into a battle and then use traditional song crediting if you got help. I just can't see Drake being, that dumb. But, he also said, A lot of things I can't believe he said too. So, but 1 second pause. Tomato, 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 tomato. Drake is a loose stool.
Oh my
That's from
God.
Math Many.
Like poop? Oh my God.
That is a visual right there. That's an
paid.
audio and a
He gets
visual.
paid.
I feel like I heard that one. I heard that comment. 1 second pause.
He is hated.
That's crazy. Tori's gone. Tori, how we feeling about Tarantino these days? I think, Green, you might be able to bring that back to a rap latte tomorrow. We've talked about Atlanta. I do feel like Atlanta is one of the losers of this battle. And I think we'll see how they evolve. Mathamening. Fast food sells more units than soul food. A lot of people like cigarettes. Being popular and making money is not a sign of quality. Try another one.
Again, that's relative to the individual. Like a lot of people like Drake songs, and a lot of people are fed by his songs. Like, you know, a lot of people like fast food, and they're fed by that. Everybody likes something different. So I appreciate the people who don't like Drake or hate Drake or whatever those things are, but a lot of people love him. So it is what it is.
K-Way for real. Peace, Justin and panel. Are y'all nervous about the agenda pushing of AI in 2026? What does that mean for music, radio, videos, etc.? Open floor.
I think
Yeah.
Please, BK. Please
I mean,
start.
I will say I'm nervous about the agenda pushing. I'm always nervous when like an industry is trying to get us ready before we want to be ready, so to speak, about something. And I think that the like net negatives and the nefarious uses of AI, the lack of ethics, the lack of regulation, the fact that I think Trump just signed an executive order saying that states cannot regulate AI for the next 10 years, like data centers being built in our backyards. I don't know. I'm nervous about the agenda pushing because what it seems when I listen to like the CEOs, your Sam Altmans, your Peter Thiels, Elon Musk, you know, people like that, they want to replace the human element and human labor to kind of get this kind of perfect capitalism where they don't have to pay anybody to produce, you know, the good or the labor that they're selling. And so I think that that's bad. I think our entire economy being wrapped up in that is bad. But I think, you know, when it comes to the music, the radio, the videos, I've seen artists already saying like, my artwork has been straight up stolen and just spit back out by some of these programs. And so, yeah, I think I'm nervous about it because it's like, whether you like it or not, here's an AI summary at the top of your Google chat. Like, it's just, I mean, your Google search, like it's just being pushed so heavy. And I've also, just last point, a lot of the like deep fakes and generative AI pieces of content that I've seen have been like replicas of like Black women sitting in their room doing kind of a vlog style, like video essay type of thing. And at first you'll be like, oh, is that a real person? And then you're like, oh my God, this whole thing is AI. So it is interesting the things that it's producing and the way that it can kind of be uncanny in even what we do as like content creators. So I am nervous.
For the way they ask about radio and music and videos, you know, the way Spotify operates, these companies operate off streaming. You know, they have these really low payouts, so they're going to the musicians that work on it, but they don't even want to pay that. So they're going to be pushing the AI so that they can create their own artists. And the way it's going to go down is that they have their top playlists. So what you're going to start hearing is going to have a playlist. It's going to have Beyonce on it. It's going to have Taylor Swift on it. It's going to have Justin Bieber on it. And then the fourth song is going to be an AI song. And then the fifth and sixth song will have popular artists, and the eighth song. And the hopes of that is that the more AI songs they make on those playlists, they own 100% of those songs and don't have to pay anybody for them. So it's just kind of a call for listeners to embrace and go lean towards Web3. I think Vic Mensa is the first person who's leaning towards Web3, where he's creating his own environment. Where if you like an artist, you have to pay to be a part of their environment. You can pay a monthly fee to them personally so that they can have the development of their art. For me, I've heard AI songs that were fantastic that I love, but at some point I can't connect with them because I realize it's not a human being singing the song. And I think for me, a person needs to have a story But what's happening just overall with AI is it's increasing at a rapid pace, and it's developing at a rapid pace. And we're going to start getting to a point where we're on the internet and we can't tell. There's going to be personalities on the internet, and we won't even be able to tell. There'll be artists, they'll have music videos out, everything, and we won't be able to tell that it's not an AI artist. So it's asking for the listeners and the people to support their artists even more, to go to more live shows, to purchase their product directly, to buy their records, and just don't, because they're offered for free, just don't take advantage of that. Just be involved in the artists that you like careers and support them. For me, every time, if I like an artist a lot or I really vibe with them, I make sure I buy their record on whatever format is available to buy it on. I don't even have Spotify because from the beginning I was like, this is too much, and I buy my album still on iTunes.
That's a beautiful thing. I agree completely with BK about the agendas, especially the ethic part and like what the data centers are doing. And you are right about what humans need to do in this space is direct to fans, what human art needs to do, and it's going to be more valuable. Human art's going to be more valuable. But I gotta go. It's late over here on the east side.
Appreciate you,
Thank you
man.
so much.
Bye.
That was a good time, man. Thank you.
Great
that
time.
was a good time. That was a
Nice
good
second applause. Word up, word up. Let's see what we got next. And 1 second applause to you, K-Way. This is from Alexa. Whitney's tool was her voice. A rapper tool is supposed to be their pen, no comparison. Also, Kanye is appreciated as a songmaker, not really an MC. Yeah.
I personally think Kanye is an incredible rapper, has always been an incredible rapper. You could go back and see him rap, I think it's one when he's in Fat Beats in the record store. He's just always been an incredible rapper. Look at him when he raps with Pharrell. Listen to the songs that he's written. I think he's an incredible rapper, but he just utilizes whatever the best tools at his disposal to make records. I agree with you that Whitney's tool was her voice, but there are some rappers who their tool is their voice as well, and a combination of their voice and their pen. I think they all kind of go together. Again, like we've already named a couple of classic songs, unbelievable classic songs that were ghostwritten or written by other people that rappers did. And I appreciate those songs just as much as songs that were written by the rapper themselves.
Word up. Word up. 1 second pause. Let's see what we have here. Mark saying no hits when GNX dominated all year. Man, you under fire, Mark. Yo, you lit up the comment section.
It's a good conversation. It's a good conversation. Again, I didn't say that there were no hits this year. I'm saying that if you look at the songs that dominated the year, most of those songs came from outside of hip hop. If you look at the percentage of hit songs, I'm just looking at the industry as a whole. And if you look at the industry as a whole, it was not dominated by hip hop this year, because I've seen years where hip hop dominated the industry. And I think it dominated the industry last year as far as popular music is concerned. GNX did have hits on it. Did those songs dominate? TV Off was really strong. I'm not sure if Luther album dominated. Luther went 13 weeks. Dominated. I just think last year was such a spectacular year that I don't think we've recovered from seeing two of the top rappers in the game go head to head and song to song yet.
Yeah, I am interested because you mentioned that Drake leaves a gap, and what's filled that gap was, I guess, what people are calling like mid-level or like the middle class of like hip hop, right? Like people were actively talking about Wale, who just dropped, and people are actively talking about Clips, which is a legacy act that hasn't dropped in 16 years. So like I think what filled that gap was awesome, but I also do love to see, because we are seeing rap on the charts, just not like the same, like rappers being the benefactors of it. Like you mentioned Shabuzi, and even like Big X the Plug is saying, I'm not a rapper, I'm not just a rapper, I'm an artist, and kind of trying to create distance. But then you got K-pop Demon Hunters, which is doing some sort of K-pop rap situation.
Yo,
so I do kind of
they have a song. I didn't mean to cut you off, but they have I'm just so into this K-pop Demon Hunters phenomenon. They have a song called Takeover, and it's a diss track. We got diss tracks in K-pop now.
Right.
It's
right.
and they, I mean, they
And
they
also,
really, they yeah, they really they take the sauce to another level. They're like, I'm literally just gonna put like my face over what you just did, which is crazy. But I do wonder who will there be a little bit more, or I guess who will fill the mainstream rap bag. And I think it's going to be women. I think it's going to be your Cardi B's, your Megan Thee Stallions, and those up and coming, even Mona Leo, Doechii, Flo Milli, Lotto, right? There is like, I think, and they're making mainstream, playing in the club, playing on the radio type of music. So I think we'll start to see that. And I think that if we stop constantly looking for men to fill that role all the time, not to say that that's what you're doing, but a lot of people will say like, who's the next superstar and who's making the hits and blah blah blah. And it's like, we heard She Was a Fairy, Take Her Through There, we heard Putting You Down, we heard like Magnet, like Everything, like Glorilla. I mean, all the major, again, Lover Girl, which broke that
Airtime is my joint.
Come on, like, so,
bottles after bottles after bottles in this blood. I love that song.
She killed it. So I think you're gonna see the women fill that void, and if we just stop looking for the next male superstar, maybe we could see that a woman's already taken that spot. So
you're right, 100%.
Word up. Thank you, Jeremy. 1 second applause. Another one from Jeremy. Atlanta rappers sound like they just using hip hop as hitting a quick lick. They don't love it, and it shows. You guys have thoughts on this?
I will say
that's loaded.
Yeah, it is, because you could just say that about people entering rap in general. It doesn't even have to be like, sequestered to ATL. But I was listening to a little bit of the Bank Perspectives with Bank 21 interview. Towards the beginning, he had mentioned that like there's no money in the streets anymore. And Bank was asking 21, does he feel like a lot of the young boys rushed to the rap game to hit the same lick that they would hit from drugs in the streets? And 21 said he agreed with that, but that it feels like it ain't no more money in that. And so there's some people who feel like that's a refresh or a reset, that like the people who actually care about it, whether it's 2 people or 2,000 people in the seats, that'll still be doing it. Those types of people are rising to the top, which I think is a good thing. But yeah, so I don't know. It's not really the same lick as it used to be, so to speak. I don't know.
You know what? This what Jeremy wrote right here is an article I wrote on my first blog in 2006, maybe 5. Right. It was probably one of my first 8 articles I ever written when I was trying to figure out how to write about a product people don't buy. Right. And this whole article was calling out Jeezy for that, because I didn't like people walking around saying, I'm not a rapper, I'm a trapper, while selling rap music. I felt like that's one of the most disrespectful things you can do, because if someone showed up where he's trapping and said, I'm not a trapper, I'm a rapper, but here's some drugs, Jeezy would have a problem with it. And I personally don't like people taking up spaces and outwardly, almost braggadociously, stealing opportunities from other people. And so that's not what I'm into. But I also understand the smoke and mirrors of entertainment. Sometimes you're just looking to market in whatever way you need to do what you need to do. I just have a problem when people are downplaying hip hop as a culture, downplaying what so many people gave their lives to help develop. That allows them to buy a mansion in wherever they live.
I think when people go in the studio, like 9 out of 10 musicians, that they're hoping that they went in and made a song that makes a lot of money. I think that there's a certain select group of high-end individuals who are just like, I just want to make the greatest music that I ever made, the most creative, the most incredible song that I ever made. But I think most people are in it in the hopes that they hit the big number, that they they go in the studio and they're hoping that this song is lotto, like it's a lotto ticket for them. So many people want that song to change their lives or their album to change their lives. So I'm not sure if it's just like hitting a quick lick. I think that most musicians want to be successful, and it sometimes sacrifice themselves and what they do. I think it was so interesting when we recently saw what's the guy's name who made Panda?
Designer.
Designer, yeah.
And we heard him rap. Did you hear this record where he rapped the other day?
I did.
I mean, he could rap. You know what I'm saying? Like, but nobody knew that from Panda, because I'm sure when he made Panda, that was the wave everybody was on then, and it was like, yo, let me make something that everybody's going to vibe with. And then, you know, he built the career off of it. You know, I mean, I can't really fault someone for trying to make a song that feeds their family.
Right.
It's kind of just getting to a spot where, I mean, obviously you could say, and this was kind of one of Open Mike Eagle's, I guess, criticism of the Red Pill video was like that hip hop maybe didn't always start like that. And then there was this kind of commercialization and this kind of like proliferation of consumerism, shiny suit, whatever, like trying to amass wealth. But also there was kind of a love for what you were doing in that. Like, of course, I also want to make money, but also like, I want to make sure that my verse is really tight. And I think like as those two things are becoming separate, you know what I mean? It's like it's reflected in the lack of the quality of music. Because like I think the same for Kendrick. I think Kendrick loves what he's doing, but he's also wants to feed his family. You can have both. I think the lack of both is now leaving us with people being like, hip hop's weird now. I can't do the same like basic shit and still have it go off. So I don't know.
True. All right, great comment, Jeremy. 1 second applause. V Sorceress. Sorry, meant to type YT, Young Thug. Young Thug regurgitated what Drake Aiden Ross said about rap being in a weird space. It's not rap though, just the ATL ones. I forgot about that. I forgot about that when Aiden Ross and Drake were streaming on their gambling grooming live
website.
Right, they're grooming children to give their money away to the predatory institutions. Aiden said rap's weird, and Drake said, no, it's not. Everything is fine. Rap will always be fine. No, he said, Aiden said rap is dead. Drake said rap will never be dead. It's just in a weird place. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. So yeah, good callback. 1 second applause. And I think we got one more here, and it says from K-Way for real. A woman slid in my DMs on IG, and we chatted for a few minutes. Something felt off. She was beyond gorgeous, and I'm medium ugly. Turns out she was AI.
Oh my
SMH.
God.
Oh man, I hope that's not a real story, man.
Bless you, my friend.
I know, man. I know that's got to be a crazy pump fake too. You're like, oh, what kind of day am I having? I'm having an amazing day. Woke up, fresh.
Kiss the screen and call it a day.
Oh, second applause. I mean, this is where we're at though. And what's that movie? There was a movie. It's called Her. I think.
Her.
Yeah, it's like where we are at that point.
I will say you guys will be horrified to know that there is an entire subreddit of people who are in relationships with their AI companion.
Oh my goodness.
And like have even faced troubles, like they're married in real life and their spouse is like, this is taking up so much of your time. And they actually had a special on CBS, and the interviewer was like, your wife just said she would leave you. Like this would be the red line. Like, could you give up your AI companion? And they have a child together. And he was like, I don't know. So it is kind of getting to, and then you've got Mark Zuckerberg that's like rolling out all these AI chatbots on Instagram and Meta and stuff. Like you can actually chat with them. And his whole reasoning is like, well, research shows that like the average person needs 13 friends. Well, we don't have the time for that because of capitalism. So why not have 13 AI companions?
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah.
Tomato.
That is where we are. So
go outside. I would tell K-Way for real. My advice to you is to go outside. The world is different from what's on social media. Social media is driven off of grief and outrage. But when you go out in the real world, it's not like that. So I would say just go outside, go meet some people, go talk to some friends, just walk away from it for a little while. and you'll be okay.
1 second applause to fantastic advice.
Walk away.
That's all we have here, man. Is there anything you guys want to talk about, or you want to mention, or let people know where they can find you guys?
I'm on Instagram, Mark Batson Official. I would say I just worked on a movie. It's called The Alabama Solution. It's on HBO. It's about the injustices in the prison system in Alabama, and I highly recommend going to take a look at it, so we can understand that slavery still exists in America, and there are slavery systems in place inside of these prisons, and it's a dialogue that needs to be had. And again, Alabama Solution on HBO. Please check it out.
Word up. Yeah, man. And Mark will be on the Third Verse podcast tomorrow.
Yes,
Third
indeed.
Verse Thursdays. See you
Third
Wednesdays. Third Verse Thursdays.
Third Verse Thursdays.
9 second applause, Mark Batson. Thank you very much, bro.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you. Thanks, Justin. Thank you.
BK.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to check out that documentary. I'm from Louisiana, and so I know all too well of it is just slavery by another name. But so that's awesome. But no, I mean, guys, you can just find me on Instagram and TikTok at LATM Pod. Also on Twitter. I'm trying to post more on
You're
there.
back.
I'm back. I figured out my password. I did just do a video on the richest proletariat, Pharrell, so definitely go check that out. And we're doing some reaction content on my side channel. Me and Morgan, my partner, are doing that. So we're doing kind of like a 8 days of Christmas, because we were like, we can't do no damn 25 days of Christmas now. But Destiny Child has 8 days of Christmas. So we was like, let's just do the 8 days of Christmas.
Yes.
So we'll react to kind of some new stuff, and I'll have sneak a little 21 Savage in there, because I did not listen to the album. But and then on the rise, I'm working on a big video on Kamala Harris and just kind of like the establishment. As a Black leftist woman in the South who doesn't really align with that side of things, and then a bigger project on Young Boy and kind of his life and kind of Pablo Escobar odysseys and all that. So yeah,
I'm looking forward to that Young Boy video.
Yeah, I think it's important because a lot of people discount Louisiana. You know, when they think of the South, people do think of ATL. So like, I am kind of like, I'm cool with that kind of like us figuring out that there's different regions in the South that we can listen to. And Louisiana is one, even though Lil Wayne literally comes from Louisiana.
And
we forget
Currency.
about we forget about the Boosies
Kevin
and
Gates.
Kevin Gates and come on, like the
It's a lot.
Webbies. And I mean, it's a lot. And but in the modern era, Young Boy is holding that down after such a long hiatus, after being blackballed by the industry. So yeah, I'm excited for that one too.
Yeah, and the way you described how it makes sense that there would be so many crying fans at his shows. You know, I think that you're going to be able to provide a lot of context and insight to that audience and fan base that people may not be fully aware
People
of.
don't get it. And I think it's kind of one of those things where it's like, there is this thing about like, oh, the gangster rap. And it's like, he did not invent gangster rap. And he is kind of one of those that's still very much connected to the streets, which is why I'm like, NLE Choppa, please leave that man alone. Because he's really in the streets like that. You cannot just have like a replica of his head in your music video. But yeah, I think he's kind of misunderstood. And a lot of the music, I feel like you can trace it to blues, you can trace it to ancestral hymns. But that's just, you know, when you're from the bottom in Louisiana, raised by your grandma, that's what you're going to get. So I'm excited to take a deep dive into his life for sure.
I want to check that out.
Word up. Culture United Wednesdays. Thank you to everybody who tuned in tonight. One day, Stat Quo gonna get some solid internet. One day it's gonna happen. I don't know. He's got a nice place. He's made a lot of money.
Beautiful home. He's got a beautiful home, man.
He's a very successful executive, and yet he consistently has spectrum problems. Maybe it's spectrum. We'll blame it on spectrum. Thank you again. It's Culture United every Wednesday, 5 p.m. See you Wednesdays. I feel like there needs to be more discussion in our space, and so that's what this space is for. You know, sometimes people get a little disagreements fly, but you know, discourse is important.
It's very good.
Thank you all. See you guys next Wednesday. Also got a breakdown dropping this weekend. We got Third Verse episode dropping tomorrow. I'll be sharing that, so look out for that. And And then I think next week is Christmas. So let's say see you the Wednesday after next. Let people spend time with their families. We'll see what happens. Perhaps there'll be a holiday episode. Who knows? I don't know. We'll see what happens. But thank you, God. Thank you guys as always. It's all happening.
It's all happening.
Bye.
Culture united, our culture united, our culture united, our culture united, connecting all over the world, connecting all over the world, connecting all over the world, connecting all over the